Oh, thank you very much. That is actually deeply helpful. Yeah, are those the real team?
Could be.
Yeah. Anita Dobson at 6.
No.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to a deliciously sunny county ground here in Beckenham, where Surrey are taking on Durham, their third match in the Metro Bank One Day Cup. And, well, what a difference a week makes. Last week it was cold, it was mizzly, it was grey, and the match was delayed by half an hour. It was then further delayed. We had a 33 over encounter that ended in thrilling fashion, with Somerset improbably getting home, needing 31 of 10 balls, thanks to Amanda Jade Wellington smiting her first 6 balls for 4. It was a disappointment for Surrey, but it was an utterly thrilling encounter that went to the very, very last ball. I'm not sure that Surrey fans will be able to take another last ball thriller, but, you know, for those of us who just like to watch a really good game, that'd be great. Yaz Rana is alongside me, Daniel Norcross. News from the toss, Surrey have won it. They have elected to bat. Danny White, Hodge and skipper Bryony Smith are out there ready and waiting. And in a moment, Yaz is going to bring you all the team news that's news. And there is some news, I can assure you of that. As the field, well, doesn't spread too far, does it? Only 2 players allowed out at this stage in the power play. We've got a deep mid-wicket, a deep backward square leg, and then plenty in the ring on the offside. Here we go, first ball of the match is defended solidly at the offside. Good morning, Raz.
Good morning.
Raz?
Good
Yaz?
morning, Dan.
Raz?
Good morning, Nan. So news from the toss, one change each, one for Surrey, one for Durham. For Surrey, Rana McDonald-Gay is back into the team.
First run, walloped out towards deep mid-wicket, straight to the fielder.
McDonald-Gay, who, of course, has debuted for England over the last 6 to 10 months. She's in the team. Phoebe Franklin, sorry, Seaman, misses out through injury, while for Durham, Sophia Turner is in the team for Grace Thompson, who I was excited to see. The 17-year-old seamer looked really impressive in the first couple of games, but she misses out on this occasion. So one change each.
You were excited, weren't you? A little bit of turn there, first up, and interesting to note, I like these sorts of things, Bryony Smith takes an off-stump guard. Very Steve Smith, isn't it? Maybe it's a Smith thing.
Are you one of those people who has strong opinions on off-stump guards?
No, not really. But I'm always interested in how that makes a player play. So you know what, watching Ollie Pope and where he takes guard has moved over the years, hasn't it? Back and forth from middle and leg over to off.
Well, our vantage point is side on. We're basically at deep point, and viewing the field from this perspective, there's a lot of space at cow corner.
There is, isn't there? I'll tell you what else is slightly unnerving, is that all of our words appeared to be being pumped out of speakers at this ground.
It does sound like that, doesn't it?
It does rather sound like that. Right, end of the first over, a very tidy one from Fraser. One without loss, Surrey after one. So run me through the teams, will you, Yaz? We've got scorecards and everything.
Yeah, so Surrey Up top, Bryony Smith, Danny White, Hodge, Alice Capsey, Sophia Dunkley, Paige Schofield, Alice Davidson, Richards, Alice
that is a
Monaghan.
top 6 to die for, that.
Yeah, all internationals. Alice Monaghan, Kira Chatley, Kalia Moore, Rihanna McDonald-Gay, and Danny Gregory. For Durham, New Zealand opener Susie Bates up top. Not New Zealand.
For New Zealand.
That'd be very exciting.
I know. You see Susie Bates up there, and that's the first thing you think. Yeah.
Emma Marlowe, Holly Armitage, the skipper, Maddie Villiers, Bess Heath, Leah Dobson, Phoebe Turner, Catherine Fraser, Abby Glenn, Sophia Turner, and Katie Levick.
So it's going to be Glenn. We've never really decided what the ends are, have we? They must exist, but no one's entirely informed us. I mean, I don't want the stand end and the marquee end, or the car park end and the... Are those tennis courts? They might be. The big hedge end.
Well, that's the Crystal Palace training ground to our left.
Oh, right.
And to our right, we can just about make out Canary Wharf. So I'm going Canary Wharf end and the Crystal Palace end, unless someone corrects me.
Well, Crystal Palace in an FA Cup final. I mean, it's probably appropriate that we give a little nod to them.
But not an ideal start to the season for Surrey, Dan. 2 defeats from the opening 2 games. Obviously, that epic game here last Wednesday, but also defeat on the road to Hampshire.
Oh, she's got hold of that. It's going to be the first boundary of the day. A little too short, banged down. And Smith swivels and pulls it away for 4. Yes, I feel a bit sorry for them last week against Somerset, because they got the worst of the conditions. They were put into bat on a miserly morning. It felt like it was actually kind of raining when they actually went out to bat. And then Bryony Smith got one that just skidded on off the pitch. And the loss of that wicket proved to be very consequential for Duckworth Lewis, more of which in a moment. Because Surrey ended up scoring 243 in what was reduced to 33 overs after having batted for 3 overs and 1 ball to start with. And then instead of the DLS target going up, which is what I was kind of intuitively expecting. Oh, full toss, clattered away. Fielders in pursuit. Oh. Now, they'll wait to see the umpire's signal on that one.
It's a good piece of work in the end. Amazingly quick outfield. So we take a look at the replay there. Because the fielder at short cover got a hand to it. 2 runs in the book.
Yeah, scooped away as well, so runs coming plentifully in this second over. Yeah, so the Duckworth Lewis target came down to 238, and that in the end was the difference. And Somerset won off the last ball, so you look at the scorecard, it's slightly confusing. Surrey 243, Somerset 241, Somerset won. And you would have to say that they did have the worst of the conditions throughout, but they did show a lot of promise with the bat, and that is a big part of this Surrey lineup. A big part of the reason, I imagine, why they chose to bat first here. The pitches at Beckenham have traditionally been splendid to bat on. I think I was here witnessing Surrey's men get the highest total in first-class history without anyone scoring 100. 9 people got between 50 and 100. It was an extraordinary innings. But it is, it's a lovely pitch to bat on. It's a beautiful day for batting as well. It feels like a batting day.
We've got confirmation from our friend and colleague Kirsty White that is the Crystal Palace end.
Oh, well done you.
But that's the City end.
Oh.
So I feel like with the Canary Wharf end,
yeah, you're close.
I wasn't
no,
too far away.
Close. You're very, very close.
I wasn't far away, so
that's good intuition from you, Yaz.
Thanks for that info, Kirsty.
Yes, I was just looking at hedges and car parks, and you were thinking properly about geography. Fraser, by the way, has just been right on the money here so far. She's delivered 8 balls, and pretty much every single one of them has been exactly where she wants them.
So, Catherine Fraser is 20 years old, but she's been an international cricketer, Dan, for 6 years.
Ooh. That's turned quite sharply, I tell you. She did well to get that away, did Danny White-Hodge. Pick up a couple of runs. Tell me more.
So she's Scotland international. All-rounder for Scotland, averages 28 with the bat, 20-odd with the ball. She's part of the Scotland team that very narrowly missed out on World Cup qualification in Pakistan last week.
They were unfortunate.
And I had the pleasure of watching her play for Scotland in 2019 at the T20 World Cup qualifier in Dundee.
When she was 14?
When she was 14, and she was their lead spinner, in truth, back then.
And actually, she's getting a bit of purchase off this pitch today, which will encourage spinners from both sides.
And not for the first time this season. She's opened the bowling as well, and you can see why. Very accurate. Difficult bowling spin in the power play with only 2 fielders out on the boundary.
Well, the other thing that's difficult about it is because the lacquer on the ball. So she's done very well there. 2 very parsimonious overs, just the 3 from them, 12 without loss. Surrey after 3.
I think we've seen from her start and the field that Durham have, they've got 2 fielders out on the leg side boundary. So that's where the protection is. And Fraser at the moment is she's had really good control of her line. She's not let the Surrey batters take her straight. So you've got to have really good control of both line and length to ensure that the boundaries aren't being attacked at this stage of the innings. Because I think, as we've already seen in the previous over from Glenn, once you get it through the infield, it will race away.
Oh, it's a quick outfield. We've had a lot of sunshine and a lot of dry weather over the last week. Well, over most of spring, to be honest. Just an opportunity here for Bryony Smith to get into her season. We're not going to get any interruptions today. There'll be no looking at the heavens and thinking about DLS and wondering if your innings is going to be truncated. You can sort of settle into a rhythm on a good batting deck on a beautiful sunny day. Oh, that's been crunched away by Danny White-Hodge. She loves it through extra cover, just a little bit too full from Glenn. That has been dispatched for 4.
Yeah, brilliant timing from Danny White-Hodge. You see in the replay just how far in front of square on the offside she's able to hit that. And again, that outfield is rapid.
It's a very interesting contrast between these two. I mentioned earlier Bryony Smith taking sort of an off-stump guard. You'll often see Danny White-Hodge saying leg side of the ball, trying to access the offside. You can see pretty much all 3 stumps when she's standing at the crease.
Yeah, well, it feels with Smith that she's trying to get offside of the ball to power it through the leg side off Fraser. Interesting to have a closer look to see how she goes against the seam of Glenn. Whereas White-Hodge, as you say, is getting leg side of the ball, trying to get her hands through it, trying to manufacture width even if it's not there.
Another little feature today is the Surrey live stream attempts complete global domination. You will see on the bottom of your screen we have the WASP,
Huge.
the win and score predictor. It is huge. Is your phone talking at you?
I can't control this thing.
No, I know these days.
I got it second hand from a friend who emigrated, and I initially couldn't believe my luck. And then since getting the phone, I totally understand why he got rid of it.
That was a mind of its own, does it?
Yeah.
Now, I'm more than delighted to tell you that today, making her Surrey live stream debut is Georgie Heath. Very familiar to many of our watchers today. She'll be with us throughout the day. Cam Ponsonby's also made it, despite the rescheduling of Lime bikes. I don't understand. I mean, you're not going to get me on a bike.
It's quite convenient.
Yeah.
If you're in South London, it's very convenient.
It's even more convenient if you're right next to a tube station, I can tell you.
Different councils have different regulations.
Is that right?
Yeah, 2 fielders now very close to each other at mid-wicket.
end of the over. 7 runs from it. A steady start from Surrey, 19 without loss. A very steady start from Fraser, just the 3 runs conceded from her first 2 overs. It's very hard to tell what is a kind of par score here at Beckenham. We got a hint in the Somerset game as Surrey powered to 243 in 33 overs. That given a fair wind and a beautiful day, 300 feels like a sort of at the baseline to aim for almost, which is quite something to say about women's 50 over match. Things have moved on.
Oh, brilliant piece of fielding.
It was brilliant, but my word, things have changed from 6 or 7 years ago where 300 would have felt like an insurmountable target.
Yes, Skipper Armand is leading from the front there, extra cover.
A leading edge squirts away, but Smith survives. It's been a fantastic start from Fraser.
Yeah, she's been economical so far in the comp, going at under 4.5 runs and over. You can see why. That one felt like it popped a little bit. It was a very full delivery, but would have gone over the stumps. The one thing we can definitely tell you from this angle is whether or not the ball's going over the stumps.
That's true, yes. Yes, at Beckenham we commentate on a balcony, 1 floor up, but from where the batting is currently taking place, we're at sort of deep cover. So we're square onto the wicket.
Brilliant start this from Fraser. 5 dot balls in a row, and you can hear the energy from the Durham fielders trying to create a bit of pressure here.
There's no width and there's no erring in length so far. And a maiden over. So 3 runs from her first 3 overs. I wonder how long it's going to be before somebody feels the itch to take the charge.
Well, this is where the game is all about partnerships, isn't it, Dan? I wonder if Surrey at the moment don't feel like they need to take undue risk against Catherine Fraser because they're scoring freely at the other end. It's a really big over now for Durham. Can Glenn exert some control? Back a mate up at the other end, force an error.
Well, the other thing that Fraser does is she gets through those overs so quickly. We've had 5 overs already, haven't a quarter of an hour's play yet. And before you know it, you're looking up and you've just seen overs tick by. That's nicely played away. And it's going to bring 4. Quite deliberately played in front of square. There's a deep backward square leg. That's been played by Danny Wyatt-Hodge deliberately in front of square. She's seen where the fielder is and hit it very crisply.
Yeah, really good shot. Glenn just dropped short a little bit, but Wyatt-Hodge did very well to make sure it went far enough in front of square to beat the fielder at deep backward square leg. And again, really quick outfield.
She cracks that away as well, but there is a boundary rider on the offside, as you will get to Danny Wyatt-Hodge.
Not that dissimilar to the ball that Wyatt-Hodge crunched for 4 through extra cover in the previous over. And it's striking how the length's quite good, actually. She's not driving half volley, she's driving good length balls.
The width of that. Just took it, oh my word, that's been smashed away. That was a little too short. Bryony Smith, as we've said, she's set up to hit the ball through the onside. If you give her that opportunity, especially in the power play, you're going to get punished.
Yeah, I thought the previous boundary from Wyatt-Hodge was hit hard, but that was absolutely crunched from Smith. Slightly straighter. And again, another early sighting of just how quick this outfielder is.
And you see, Daisy, if you watch Bryony Smith as she bats, it's just a little trigger movement. When she starts, you think, oh, I can see all the stumps. And then she just moves across ever so slightly, covers up middle and leg, and almost the off stump as well. So you've got to be very careful when you're bowling at Smith. If you go a little bit too straight, then it brings the leg side into play. And at this stage, there's only protection at deep backward square. spooned somewhat on that occasion.
Yeah, good over for Surrey though. 10 off it with the delivery remaining. And as we telegraphed earlier on, it feels like different games happening at either end at the moment.
Well, that's really well fielded, a backward point. A dot to complete the over, 10 from it, 29 without loss after 6. It is difficult bowling pace, medium pace on this surface because it's so true. The outfield is so quick. I feel, is it an optical illusion or not? That just also slightly slopes down away from us towards, well, where the bowling's going to be coming from now, down towards deep square. You can see from that shot here, which is that from the camera right next to us? I think it might be. From our very fine cameraman who has returned from Barbados with a grin on his face so broad. He hasn't given us all the secrets of what happened out there yet, but I suspect he had a very, very good time. That's the first time actually we've seen somebody go after Fraser in that direction, go for the, not exactly slog sweep, but a hoik.
And crucially, Smith off strike after facing 6 dots in a row against Fraser in the previous over. So interesting to see how White Hodge goes against Fraser.
Yes, well, that was how I thought she might, and she's got it all the way. The first 6 of the match. Use of the feet, gets to the pitch of the ball. There's nobody out at long on and long off, so as long as she can clear the infield, it's a safe shot, and it was more than safe. It was absolutely eviscerated out past the cover.
Yeah, it's a glorious shot. I suppose the flip side of being accurate is you're potentially a bit predictable. And Fraser has been so accurate with her length so far, and Wyatt Hodge telegraphed where the ball was likely to land, so used her feet.
And then you find yourself trying to hide the ball.
Exactly, exactly. Wyatt Hodge turned what was a very good length ball into effectively half volley for her.
Just wonder if there might be a case for a slightly different field to Danny Wyatt Hodge. A deep mid wicket and a deep square leg, but mid on, mid off or up. I suppose the flip side of that is that it encourages a shot that's a bit more dangerous.
But interesting to see that Fraser was so accurate against Smith, but since that 6, the 3 deliveries have all been slightly different, whereas with Smith she knew exactly what she was trying to do and nailed it, and we'd see a field change now. Deep backward square leg comes into the ring, mid on goes back to long on.
I feel somewhat compromised. I hope we're not actually providing suggestions and advice.
And that's knocked down the ground by Smith. It's a good over for Surrey. 10 runs come off it. They are now 39 without loss after 7 overs. Wyatt Hodge on 22 off 23. The Surrey skipper Smith 16 off 19. It looks like we've got a change in the bowling attack for Durham. Abby Glenn kicked off proceedings for the visitors, 3 overs, 0 for 26. She will be replaced by Phoebe Turner. The 21-year-old Phoebe Turner has been one of the stars of the domestic game in the last 12 months or so, leading wicket taker in the 2024 Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy for the Diamonds, and she started very well in 2025 as well. She's a joint leading wicket taker as we go into round 3 of the One Day Cup. Very excited to see her live. Heard lots of good things about her. Only 21 years old. My Wisden colleague Lauren Winfield Hill rates her very, very highly.
A little hint of a misfield out there allows them to get back for 2 very comfortably. And Wasp has gone up. Wasp has gone up to 291, an iconic number for me.
Why?
It was Viv Richards, 291 at the Oval, which was the first fag end of the first innings I ever saw at a Test match, live. Which dates me horribly. It was Michael Holding's famous Test. Taking all those wickets on a flat deck at the Oval.
It's quite a good one to see first up.
It was very good, and it was very, very hot. It was a very lovely summer.
Already from Turner, I think we can see that she's a little bit quicker. England getting the ball through a little bit more.
No ball signalled there, I think. Unless that was my imagination. We'll just check in a second. Yep. Overstepping, so a couple of runs plus the no ball.
Really,
and the free hit.
Really good proactive batting from Danny White-Hodge on that occasion. Talked about the extra pace from Phoebe Turner on that occasion. Just dabbing the ball, using that pace past backward point. Picks up 2.
Now just a reminder, because when you watch Surrey live stream, you might see no balls in the county championship. They're 2 runs. It's 1 run in 50 overs, but you get the free hit. Then you get a free hit in the county championship. Hasn't cost her too much there. Now on my way in today, I drove in from Tootingbeck, and I've got the sat nav on, and I've got the radio on. And the radio's currently, I say, stuck on radio 2. I suppose there might be a way of changing that, but there's too many moving parts for a man of my age. And I dare say you're too young to expose yourself to the nightmares of radio 2. But I got in the car, and there's a 2-hour stretch every week, which I always seem to find myself in the car when it's happening, and it's Sunday afternoon, and it's Elaine Page. Well, today, it wasn't Sunday, it was Wednesday, and yet they were doing an Elaine Page retrospective. It's like I can't escape Elaine Page.
It's not an issue I've ever had.
Are you familiar with the stylings of Elaine Page?
Not hugely, I must be honest.
Musical theatre.
It's never really been my thing.
It's not my thing.
What, to turn the radio off then?
Sort of hands, you're driving, it's London, you know. It's been absolutely walloped by Bridie Smith. I think what we have established early on today is a 50 comes up at the end of the 8th over is you do not want to be dragging it in short to Bridie Smith, because she will leather it. That's the second time she's hit it onto the leg side off a ball of that nature.
Yeah, and she's able to access deep mid-wicket even from balls that are quite a long way outside off stump. You said earlier on that she's pretty much standing on off, which makes it very difficult to bowl to her.
And a change of bowling at the City end, replacing number 70 Catherine Fraser, number 23 Katie Levick.
It's Katie Levick into the attack, a veteran, Yorkshire.
Yeah, absolute titan of the domestic game, the leading wicket taker in 50 over cricket during the regional era. 79 wickets at 21 for the Diamonds.
That's not bad, is it?
Very good. 206 list day wickets at 18 overall, which is very, very handy.
And very, very experienced. Just interested to see if she can get the purchase. We saw a fair bit of purchase from Fraser at the start of her spell. We didn't see an awful lot of spin this time last week. It was tricky to assess the conditions then. It's been a fair bit of moisture. Fallen. Oh, now then, that looks close. It was an attempt to manufacture something by White-Hodge. There's going to be very little pace on it from Katie Levick, so it's quite a perilous shot to play. Just having a look to see where fine leg is. There isn't a fine leg, so that's partly what's encouraging her, that there's a gap. There's a short backward square leg.
You can see why Danny White-Hodge is eyeing up that shot, though. There's basically no one behind square on the leg side. And I take your point.
You've got to get a really good connection on it at the pace that Levick bowls if you're going to.
I take your point, but the outfield is so quick,
Yep.
so especially if you can get a bit of bottom hand underneath the ball to help it along rather than just deflect the ball on. There are runs to be had there.
But it's perilous. The turn going away from you. You get it slightly wrong, you get leading edge, squirts the backward point or short third. Good bit of fielding. The ball's got lodged there.
Quite an optimistic appeal for run out.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, to be fair.
You never know as well. You're also facing the other direction, so you don't ask. So far, you're absolutely right here. Yeah, as we're sort of watching two different games, and the spin is on. It's quite hard to manufacture boundaries. If Levick and Fraser have been really tight, really accurate. Just one run off the over, just one over left of the power play as well. Surrey 51 without loss.
We do have the WASP feature, the score predictor. Well, I just wondered more generally, how do you go about setting a target when you potentially don't have a lot to go on in terms of what a good score is in this competition against these type of bowlers, with the strength of your batting lineup as well to factor in? And Surrey really do bat deep. 6 England internationals in that top 6, which is pretty helpful.
Yes.
So yeah, it's obviously a good start for Surrey, but I also think Durham will think, you know what, in the power play, Surrey haven't completely run away with it here. The spinners have done very, very well.
That's a better line and length. That's where she wants to be plonking it, if at all possible.
It's obviously always good to score runs and take wickets.
Well, yes.
Especially so today, I think. We've been told that Charlotte Edwards, the New England head coach, is in attendance.
Is she now? Yes, it's this time of year I always feel a bit guilty when I see Lottie, because she kind of tried to guilt me into running a marathon once. Which I know, just the sheer thought of me running for a bus is hard enough.
How long into negotiations did you both get before she accepted the no?
That's been beautifully played, just lofted out through deep mid-wicket. Good bit of bottom hand to get the elevation, and it skips away for 4. Charlotte Edwards is not a hugely successful coach and a legend of women's cricket by taking no for an answer, Yaz. You don't say no. You eventually capitulate and hope that she forgets.
This might be a silly question, but why was the great Charlotte Edwards so keen to get you to run a marathon?
I don't quite know. I think I might have been teasing her about her running between the wickets, and she may have come back at me.
It's quite a good retort.
It is quite, yeah. Well, you know. Again, may I refer you to the answer I gave some moments ago. It felt like an uneven struggle, me and Lottie. It's been flayed away, and it might not quite make it to the boundary. It won't. They'll get back for a couple of runs. It came slightly skewing off the outside half of the bat, but a couple more as Wasp ticks up to 300.
Yeah, Leah Dobson out on the offside boundary. He's got a lot of ground to patrol.
Goes out to her again. A single to finish the over. A single to finish the power play. 59 without loss after 10. A sigh of relief
10 overs bowled. Surrey
for Durham, because they can now try and plug some of those gaps. When you're bowling on a pitch as true, as good as this, on a day as warm and gorgeous as this, it can look slightly daunting when you look around the field and see how little protection there is. Well, now everything will change. 4 fielders can go outside the inner ring. Deep mid-wicket, a deep square leg, a deep cover.
Yeah, and it
might be just it at the moment, though.
If spin is the way to go to in early days, spin has gone a fair bit better than seems so far. The Durham side is fairly well placed to go through and manage 50 overs well. We've seen Fraser, we've seen Levick, not yet seen Manny Villiers, who's played a fair bit of cricket for England. And if you're comparing the two spin attacks, in Levick they've got a spinner who turns the ball away from the right hand. There's not an option that Surrey have in their bowling lineup.
Unless you repurpose Sophia Dunkley's leg spin.
We haven't seen a lot of that in recent years.
It's like Danny Gregory.
Yes, that's true actually. That is true. That is true.
Generally speaking, they have 2 of those front line options, don't they, with Villiers and Levick. It's hard to assess this start, really. In a way, I think both sides would be quite happy. Surrey, because they've still got all 10 wickets in hand, and they have struggled to do that early on in their innings in the last couple of games. So they've got a very steady platform. For Durham, Surrey haven't got away from them. Haven't launched it to all parts. I was going to say, only once has Danny White-Hodge used her feet. She's done it a second time, but this time goes straight to mid-off. Somewhat loses her shape in that hoik. It'll pick up a single.
Yeah, didn't quite get to the pitch of the balls. It actually quite well to get bat on that.
Yeah, but she's ticking now, isn't she?
It's a really good start from Levick. Really, really good start. Just 3 runs from her first 11 deliveries.
So just 2 off the over. 61 without loss. We got a bit more smattering of spectators today. The last time we were here, pretty much all the spectators were huddled on this balcony, trying to keep warm and avoid the elements. There were coats. I think I had 4 layers last. We had t-shirt, winter shirt, hoodie and coat. Proper winter coat. Today you're dressed in a very, very natty, short-sleeved, vintage something.
Shirt.
Shirt, yes. I've gone full linen for the first time this summer. There you can see our spectators out the stand away to our right, which is sort of currently at a kind of backstop or deep third position.
Yeah, if you're near Beckenham, definitely come down. If you're living in South London or the surrounding areas in particular, it's an easy ground to get to. It's a half an hour or so journey for me, Camberwell today.
What's your best bet? Which is your best train station to get in?
Loughborough Junction to Herne Hill, Herne Hill to Beckenham Junction.
Beckenham Junction, and the walk distance from there?
11, 12 minutes.
11 or 12 minutes. I like your precision. My wife is always irritated by my precision with timing. So I was supposed to be taking Ponsonby with me this morning, playing a miss. And so I said to him, I'm planning to leave at 9:08, roughly. And she thought that this was one of the most absurd missives you could possibly send, because I think she thinks you do 10s, 15, and top and bottom of the hour, right?
I think I'm with your wife on this one.
No.
You can say 9:08, but you can't say 9:08 roughly.
Well, why not? You say 9:10 roughly. It's every number is entitled to the equal amount of respect. no number is superior to another number. You may prefer some. I like odd numbers. I like numbers that end in 7s. I don't like even numbers very much.
I'm not sure you can make this argument in a cricket context where we arbitrarily give enormous importance to.
Oh, the 47. 47 is a very important score. It's well fielded by Marlowe down in front of us, actually, because it was an awkward second bounce, but she does well to keep her eye on it and keep the scoring to 1.
Relatively expensive start from Phoebe Turner, but you can see why she does so well at this level. Extra bit of pace. Carry's been really good. Rushed this pair of international batters on a couple of occasions.
Oh.
That's an extraordinary bounce and a really, really good piece of fielding in the end from Emma Marlowe.
It's a great reaction, isn't it? It tells you just how hard the outfield is, because once it hit that, it just flew off the, I say turf, or it must be pretty hard, almost concrete-like surface. This is a really good angle on it, actually. She's done very well. Keep her eye on that. Go up one-handed. Now then, yes, first wicket. Danny White-Hodge goes, picks out the fielder at deep cover, and Durham have their breakthrough at the end of the 12th over. White-Hodge goes for 34, well judged catch, and Surrey are 65 for 1.
Yeah, it's definitely been a good start from Surrey, but with the power play over, Danny White-Hodge and Bryony Smith perhaps looking to get a move on a little bit, and Durham rewarded for a tiny couple of overs. Katie Levick has started really well with her leg spin. She's been hard to get away, and Phoebe Turner was expensive in her first couple of overs, but this time round helped a couple of times by 2 good pieces of fielding on the leg side boundary by Emma Marlowe. Only conceded 4 runs from this over.
I'm getting out of the way because Cameron Ponsonby has come, and he's supposed to be replacing me, but he's come over and for no apparent reason has pressed his finger on our monitor, which was working perfectly adequately, and taken everything away. I've no idea what that was all about, but anyway, I'm off.
Yeah, timely breakthrough for the visitors. New batter, number 3, England's Alice Capsey. Big season for her, you expect. I think people forget just how young she is, just 20 years old, but has already played something like 60 internationals for England. England head coach Charlotte Edwards has said since taking on the role that she wants her best players playing lots of domestic cricket and dominating this level. It felt like a real challenge to a player like Capsey. And I think actually Capsey's career so far sort of sums up where English cricket has been, where she hasn't actually played much 50 over cricket professionally, which sounds mad for someone who's represented her country so many times, but a real opportunity at the start of this summer to show what she can do in the 50 over format, and also really nail down a role in 50 over cricket, something that hasn't quite happened for her in England colours just yet. Cam Ponsonby, good morning.
Good morning, Yaz. As you mentioned, Capsey didn't play a single game for South East Stars last year, her 3rd in a row today. Bryony Smith cuts hard in front of square. It'll just be 1. No, the whole furore I just caused when trying to take over commentary was the screen in front of us is playing our commentary out loud, and I thought it would be disrupting for you and Daniel, so I tried to turn the volume down. Instead I just turned the monitor off. And these are the mistakes we sometimes make.
Funny that you only decided to do that the ball before you started commentating,
oh, no,
rather than doing it out of the goodness of your heart.
It was an entirely selfish act. I also thought I'd fixed it earlier on, so that's why I felt so confident in pressing the buttons. Right, Capsey to face her first delivery. It's wide and cut once again. Marlowe is able to intercept and keep Surrey to 1. Well, first impressions, whatever you think par is, double it. I think there's a lot of runs on offer out there today. White-Hodge's dismissal, I thought, was entirely against the run of play.
Well, this is why I think Durham will quietly think they've started okay here. We've seen 2 The ball fly off the quicks. But the spinners, initially Fraser with a new ball and now Levick backing Fraser up, have been really tight. And they've been backed up by some really good fielding as well in the outfield. So 67 for 1 in the 13th over, obviously a good start, but Surrey with their stacked top 6 haven't run away from Durham just yet, changing the field. Couple point goes to extra cover and is in the action straight away. Brilliant fielding at extra cover by Sophie Turner.
That field change probably speaks to kind of going against the grain of what we've just been talking about how easy it is to bat out there. They've moved short third and put them into cover. That speaks to potentially a lack of pace in the wicket, or the lack of ability that they think that Surrey will be able to run the ball down to that vacant third area. So it proved, I believe, just 1 run off that over, off the 13th. After 13 overs, Surrey are 67 for 1.
Yeah, a lot of fielders in front of square in the ring for Katie Levick. And in that over, Surrey unable to rotate the strike against her. Dan was commenting earlier that even though there were gaps behind square, there might not be quite enough pace on the ball to easily deflect the ball for runs behind square. Change of bowling for Durham. Sophia Turner on for the first time today in the side in place of Grace Thompson.
Sophia Turner comes into the side. I think I was with you. I was looking forward to watching Grace Thompson, 17 years old, had been away with England under-19s in January, but alas, not on show today. Instead, Turner running into Capsey. Starts well.
Yeah, good start from Turner. So just to illustrate the point on Capsey and her stop-start 50-over career so far, she's played 23 ODIs, but she's opened once, batted at 3 twice, 3 times at 4, 5 times at 5, hasn't batted at 6, but 6 times at 7. And then, as you said earlier, in domestic 50-over cricket, she didn't play a single game last year when she was 19. So she played 18 games for the Stars, but that would have all happened when she was aged 18 or younger. So she is simultaneously an experienced international cricketer, but inexperienced in the format that is 50-over cricket. And especially the best international players who pick up deals in franchise leagues, as Capsey does, that is obviously all for short-form cricket, 100 ball or 20 overs.
Short and pulls by Bryony Smith. 2 sweepers out on the leg side now. Marlowe intercepts, it's just 1 run.
So I really liked, obviously Charlotte Edwards has only been in the job a couple of weeks, but I really like the emphasis she's put on experience. Play domestic cricket, do it really well, and have that grounding before you go up and play international cricket.
Short once again, Capsey pulls. Will it be 6? No, 1 bounce. And away for 4. It's twice Turner's just lost her length this over. No, I think it speaks to the growth and the depth of women's cricket compared to 10 years ago. In years gone by, England players have been rumoured were almost dissuaded from playing domestic cricket, but now it's the complete opposite, where it's contributed to such a successful start to the Tier 1 system. Turn it in once more, short again. This time Capsey pulls. Bryony Smith's interested in 2, will turn for 2. She'll make it home.
Yeah, really
reasonably comfortably.
Really good running from Smith. Capsey wasn't 100% sure if she wanted the second, but Smith knew she was running to the danger end and the 2 was on.
But a slight change in the field. Those 2 leg side sweepers have shifted around to be square. We have a deep square leg and a fine leg, whereas we did have a deep mid wicket. A dot ball to finish Sophia Turner's over after 14. Sorry, at 75 for 1.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point about how the domestic game has changed and how attitudes around it were potentially slow to change. I think attitudes towards it didn't reflect the quality of it. Obviously, we've got a new system this year, but fundamentally, the number of teams and the density of high quality players wasn't hugely different towards the end of the regional era. And you had a few cases where really young players were elevated to England honours really early in their career, understandably given how good and talented they were, but they were really inexperienced international players.
I think it's interesting as well, because from conversations I've had with players over the last however many years, there seems to be a general reluctance to play the standard below. That's heaved over to the leg side. 4 more for Bryony Smith. And that's changing, basically. It used to just be as simple as a case as, well, there isn't the depth there, so if I go down to the level below, I don't know how much I'm going to get out of it. That's changing, and if you go through the scorecards over the last week, you're seeing real quality facing up against each other. You had Kate Cross bowling to Heather Knight in Lancashire versus Somerset. Cut out to deep point for 1 more.
Good couple of balls this for Surrey. They've found scoring against the spin slightly difficult so far today, so good show of aggression from Smith.
And even Surrey's top 6 that's on show today, all 6 of them international cricketers. It's been, in my opinion at least, a wonderful start to the competition. One more. Levick just pitching a little bit shorter after Bryony Smith has picked up her fuller length delivery. Swept out to deep square leg, catching opportunity taken. That is the end of Bryony Smith. Top edge on a sweep. Comfortably held in the deep. I say comfortably, judging by the fielder's reaction, I think I might be the only one who feels that way.
Yeah, it's a really, really important wicket for Durham. Just commenting on how Surrey, previously before this over, hadn't been scoring that quickly against the spinners. Good start to this over. Smith takes the aggressive option on once more, but this time finds the hands of Dobson at deep square leg, and it's a decent start from Durham. 2 wickets in the first 15 overs, both openers back in the dressing room.
It's a wonderful reaction from Dobson. She seemed for all money to be incredibly comfortable under that catch. I think it's just swerved on her at the very end. She's taken it further to her left than anticipated. The ball goes in her hands go over her mouth, and well, if she hadn't reacted, I'd have assumed there was no problem at any stage. Her second catch of the innings. She's been patrolling that far side boundary, as we're commenting on from the indoor school here at Beckenham.
Yeah, I think you're right. It just swerved on her at the last moment. She did really well to keep her eye on the ball and take the catch cleanly. And now Durham have 2 new Surrey batters in the middle, 2 England batters as well. Sophia Dunkley joining Alice Capsey. But yeah, just a good little momentum swing in Durham's favour. Just checking that Surrey momentum. 2 wickets since the power play. And I never know how much to read into these things, but Wasp has gone from more than 300 to predicting a score of under 270 in the last 5 overs. So Durham fighting back here.
Dunkley away with a single. Scores of 22 and 4 in her first 2 matches, just like all of Surrey's top 6 bar Davison, Richardson and Capsey. Keen to get a score under their belts early on. It's a shame for Bryony Smith, she was looking in fine touch.
And yeah, no wonder that for this is
end of the 15th over, 82 for 2.
That I think we've seen it in the men's game with the elite England players, that they've played so little 50 over cricket, they hadn't quite rediscovered the rhythms of it. I think one thing you do forget in 50 over cricket. It's just how long 50 overs
It's a long
is.
day.
And obviously with lots of England players in this Surrey top 6, it might take some time to find the rhythms of an innings, and a quick 30 odd is useful, don't get me wrong, but when you score a 250, 300 plus total, you need players to really kick on and get significant scores close to or in excess of 3 figures. Players who take real personal responsibility to ensure that their team is going to get a massive one.
Got a bowling change at the Crystal Palace end. Turner for Turner, Phoebe Turner replacing Sophia.
Yeah, just 1 over for Sophia.
That was quick from Turner. Well pulled away by Dunkley. More was an act of survival than an aggression.
Yeah, just slightly hurried. We've seen Phoebe Turner go short on a couple of occasions, and unlike her Durham teammates, when she's gone short, she's been slightly harder to face, just rushing the batters a little bit more. Really good carry from the Crystal Palace end.
Discussing the prospect of a field change, but they stay put. Capsey on strike.
You can sort of work out the pace of a bowler based on where the deep fielders are, and actually between the 2 overs with pace of Phoebe Turner at one end and the spin of Katie Levick at the other end, the fielders aren't actually moving that much because Turner's got protection behind square. There's a pretty fine deep third, a fairly fine deep fine leg, deep square leg that's just in front of square, and a deep cover point.
Short once again. This time defended by Dunkley.
Really challenged the batters to hit her straight, and we saw early on when Abby Glenn dropped her length a little bit, fell a bit short, the Surrey batters were able to put her properly in front of square. It's yet to be something that we've really seen against Phoebe Turner.
Turner just taking the outside edge. I like this move from Durham. Phoebe Turner is the top wicket taker in the competition so far, taking 4 wickets and 3 wickets in both, well, in Durham's opening 2 matches. With 2 new batters at the crease, Holly Armitage has turned to a strike bowler in search of a third.
Yeah, there's been a group of young seamers who've won England caps over the last year or so, and Turner's not been one of them. If you were basing selection purely off domestic 50 over form, she'd be right in that conversation. Leading wicket taker in the comp last season, leading wicket taker in the comp this season, and she can bat as well. So really exciting young cricketer, just 21 years old.
Half a drive out to cover by Dunkley. They get one. You mentioned she can bat as well. Durham went on a pre-season tour to Zimbabwe, which I always thought would be one of the great places to go and have a tour. End of the 16th over, 85 for 2. And the final match of that tour, Phoebe Turner, unbeaten century, but unbeaten century because she retired hurt. So swings and roundabouts.
Replacing number 23, Katie Levick, and entering the attack at the City end, number 22, Maddie Villiers.
Well, we have another bowling change. Holly Armitage really shuffling the pack. Katie Levick is off, Maddie Villiers is on. So off spin on in place of leg spin. And Dunkley remains on strike on 3 of 6 balls. Maddie Villiers, such an important cog in this team. Signed, well, from Sunrisers isn't quite right because all the teams changed. But she was an Essex girl. She's now up in Durham.
Gives it a bit of air first up, and it continues the trend of what we've seen so far. From the City end, we've only seen spin. From the Crystal Palace end, we've only seen pace. And I wonder, not got the best vantage point to work this out, but I wonder if the dimensions are such that the leg side boundary for the right-handers from this end is longer, so it gives the spinners a little bit more protection. Batters need to give it a bit more oomph to clear the leg side boundary on that side of the ground.
Swept out to mid-wicket by Capsey, started very positively. So I just want to confirm, our colleague and former Surrey player and South East Stars player, Kirsty White, said to us the two ends are City end and the Crystal Palace end, the Palace end. Wikipedia tells me it's the City end and Beckenham end. I need clarification.
I trust Kirsty.
Well, I trust Kirsty. I don't know if that makes her right.
Do you trust Wikipedia?
I often trust Wikipedia. I remember I had a lecturer at university who would explicitly tell us when to and when to not trust Wikipedia. They said, just so you know, Wikipedia is excellent on this topic. Very well played by Capsey. Takes a very gentle single up to long on. But please just don't cite it. But it's correct. Just go and find somewhere else to cite it. But this is a good description. Maybe that's the same for the Beckenham County Ground cricket ground.
Change of the field. Emma Marlowe, who was at deep cover points, come into the ring.
Villiers forces a dot there. Just dropping the ball on a length.
Then another change of the field. Mid on drops back to long on. Susie Bates. That field change gives Dunkley a single. 5 runs from the over. Sorry, 90 for 2 after 17.
I think both parties will be very happy with that over. Holly Armitage pulling the strings as skipper, moving the field about almost every delivery. Dropping long on just back there. Gives Surrey the chance of an easy single, but it also means they'll shake hands on a draw. They won't be searching for the boundary option. 5 runs off, 5 singles. Phoebe Turner to continue from the Crystal Palace end. I'll back Kirsty in all the way, all the time. Short again, they go to scamper a single. And I suppose the ends justify the means, and it was well judged.
Oh, yeah, it's good running.
I always wonder what constitutes a good run, because I'd say that's the second time a run's been taken this innings where a direct hit would have been out.
Oh, I think Capsey was just about safe. But I see your point. It would have been very, very close. There's an interesting phase of the innings where you actually wonder if it's quiet for the next 7 or 8 overs. Surrey won't mind that. Really consolidate a base from which they can launch from going into the second half of the innings. What they don't really want here is to lose a 3rd and 4th wicket before they reach the halfway point.
Chipped. Goes to the right of point. It spins away from the sweeper. Dobson, for all her hard work, is unable to cut it off. That is 4 runs.
Yeah, it's been a really busy morning for Dobson, patrolling that side of the ground. Really nice shot from Dunkley, gets it just wide of Villiers at backward point.
Well, just managed to split the 2 fielders. The spin on it meant it went to the right of Villiers at backward point, and then once it landed, span away from Dobson, who was patrolling the boundary. She gets 4 for her troubles. No, you're right. I think we're kind of entering a period of mutually assured middle overs, where both parties are happy to kind of trudge along. More so Surrey than Durham, because with that depth in Surrey's batting lineup, you don't want to give Davidson Richards too much an opportunity to power through those death overs.
Dunkley just starting outside a crease to Turner.
Turner drops short. Dunkley ducks underneath the ball. Truth be told, it missed her on line rather than length. She kind of watched it go past that.
Yeah, Didn't really
Eye
get up
level at
that
the
one.
end.
Didn't really get up as much as Dunkley thought it would. And that boundary actually came from a slightly fuller delivery, so Turner still finding some joy when she holds her length back.
Ball stabbed into the ground. Dot ball to finish. After 18 overs, it is 96 for 2. Even if there isn't a change in the bowling attack, as Maddie Villiers will continue, there is a change in the commentary box, as I'm joined for the first time this season by a new Australian resident but returning London native, Georgie Heath.
I would say g'day, but I thought that was a bit too
on the nose.
generic. But yeah, fresh off the boat. Well, actually, that probably would have taken a while. I'd probably have missed the whole season and just go back again. How long does it take to get a boat to Australia, do you reckon?
Well, this is a great question to start proceedings. I could imagine if you got the boat over here and then immediately returned back to Australia, you'd get back to Australia in the time you would...
Ready for their season
ready
to
for their
start
season,
again. Yeah. Sounds like a waste of a summer, I think, maybe.
Yeah, no. I've never been on a cruise. Might be nice. I'm sure it is nice. Turns into the leg side. Sorry, scampers through for a single. Is that leg buys? It is indeed leg buys.
But yeah, definitely a better way, I think, to spend my time. Although I was thinking of sort of Ashes gone past, they had to sort of run up and down the boat to train on the way out. How do you stay fit on a boat, ready for an Ashes series?
Drops into the leg side by Dunkley. It's smart work by Surrey. No, that's a good point. I think that's become quite a modern phenomenon of kind of people who work on cruise ships. They put their Strava on and they go for a run around the boat, but then because the boat is therefore then moving, you get a series of unusual shapes, or you get one big circle, something like that. It's some geometric phenomenon.
As long as you get the kudos, it doesn't matter really, does it?
Exactly.
But yeah, so it's nice to come back to the whole new restructured England women's. The setup over here. Nice to see Durham in action. Obviously, that was one of the ones there was a little more talk about when Durham were awarded the Tier 1 and how that would all come about. But the likes of signing someone like Susie Bates coming into the fold, never going to be too unhappy with something like that.
This is good batting from Surrey. Turning over the strike regularly against Villiers. From her 11 deliveries, there's been just 2 dot balls. That's 100 up for Surrey off 18.5 overs. 1 ball remains of this 19th over.
Yeah, I like this from these two. They're just rotating the strike really nicely. Obviously, we talk about Danny White-Hodge and Bryony Smith, especially as these big hitters. You know, Bryony Smith can really give it a whack when she feels like it. And then these two have just come about and they're just working around their business. I mean, we know Capsy can give it a whack when she really fancies it, but they're just getting themselves back in. They're just rebuilding this partnership.
Villiers forces a dot ball to finish. And after 19 overs, the score is 100 for 2. So, talk to us. What you've been doing over in Australia. I feel like I've seen you every time I've turned on my television. You've been there or near there.
Or near there. I'm probably just pretending to. I'm probably just hanging around, you know, just to get myself in the view somewhere. A lot of WBBL. That was really good to be part of, actually. Bit of Sheffield Shield, a little bit slower, one would say, and quite a lot of WNCL actually, which is obviously their state 50 over competition. Went up and did the final of that one, won by New South Wales in the end. Yeah, it was really good to be part of, actually, and there were a few of the English girls who were over there. So Georgia Adams, obviously captain of Hampshire here, she was captaining the New South Wales side, so an English person captaining over there, which was, I think there were a few raised eyebrows at first, but Georgia Adams has a knack of winning trophies, so I don't think they minded too much in the end.
Well, the history of kind of overseas playing in Australian domestic cricket is, well, it's very rare, full stop. I remember when Mason Crane made his debut for England. I think there was talk of him either playing a New South Wales game. He either did or didn't. I need to go and check that. And he was the first to do so since, I want to say, Imran Khan. Now, someone might be listening and be saying, Cameron, you've got all of that wrong. and that's why I'm going to go and check it in live time.
I mean, that would be quite. You're getting a thumbs up from Yaz over there.
Wonderful.
That's a pub quiz question, surely. What is the connection between Mason Crane and Imran Khan?
And Georgia Adams.
And Georgia Adams. Oh.
Play and a miss by Dunkley. Turner just getting a little bit of movement off the seam. And of course Holly Armitage was out there as well. She's playing for South Australia.
Yeah. And there's a few of them obviously out in the WBBL as well. So yeah, I think more and more they're doing what I would fancy doing, which is living summer to summer. And so sort of head over to Australia, and then quite a few of them obviously head over to the WPL and do that. So follow the sun and follow the warmth.
Dunkley just finds that pocket of the ground once more, just to Maddie Villiers' right at backward point, and splitting the gap between her and Dobson on the boundaries. They scamper through for two. And I always think Georgia Adams has got it made, basically. She goes over. She was, I believe, still is, playing for Manly Cricket Club.
Yes, a lot of the New South Wales girls are playing there. Actually, I think it's not a bad place to be, you would imagine.
Advances down the wicket and drives.
She did have a bit of a tricky time of it, actually, because she was part of Sydney Thunder, but they had Heather Knight as well for the sort of first half of the WBBL. So Georgia Adams spent weeks just netting, and then got out to go and play in the middle. And you can't really replicate match play. So I think she did find that quite hard. To get to the point, you're like, how much netting can I do?
Another player to miss by Dunkley. It's a good over from Turner, just 2 runs off it. And after 20 overs, Surrey are 102 for 2. Alice Capsey on 14, just under a runnable. And Dunkley on 15 off 24. She's just had a bit of a time of it recently, Dunkley. She was kind of keeping pace with Capsey, scoring at around 6 and over. There's been a few dot balls strung together at her end.
Replacing number 22, Maddie Villiers at the City end.
Yeah, an interesting one, Sophia Dunkley, actually. If you think about sort of the Women's Ashes when it was back here in England a few summers ago, she really, really struggled. She had a difficult time. They kept selecting her, and you were thinking she needed to come back and play in the domestic setup. She did. She came and scored an absolute heap of runs, got herself back into that England side. And that's what I really like, is that we're seeing, we heard Charlotte Edwards talk about how much she wanted England players and England fringe players to play domestic cricket, and that's what we're seeing, and that's what I really enjoy.
And another change of bowling. Katie Levick returns from the City end, replacing Maddie Villiers. So leg spin for off spin. Capsey drives and splits mid on and mid off. It's a wonderful cricket shot.
Yeah, it's glorious, isn't it? That's a sort of hold the pose. Hope there's someone taking a photo somewhere, because it'd be very rare that I play a shot like that.
Do you want a stat?
I love a stat, yeah.
Alice Capsey, granted we're only 2 matches in, but she's currently Surrey's top run scorer and wicket taker. You see a replay there, just over the fingertips of Levick. Hits mid on and run. She'll make it in time. Capsey's looking in fine touch at the moment.
Yes, she is, isn't she? Especially as sort of looking ahead to quite a busy few months as well. If she is back in that England fold, you would imagine. West Indies, India, World Cup later on in the year. Now, Katie Levick was actually one of the first, I say, professional interviews I ever did, and this is when the sort of women's cricket just sort of folded, and there was nothing really. Sort of pre-COVID era when she was playing at Yorkshire, but she was actually also working at Yorkshire. So she was sort of behind a desk in the office as well. And then there was sort of, I don't know if I'm ever going to play cricket again now, because we don't know what's happening. We don't know what the future looks like. And now gets to travel around, playing her cricket, playing the 100. And she's sort of part of what I call the lost generation.
Lost
generation to international cricket. So there's sort of this middle-aged bunch. A few of them, as that over comes to a close, 21 gone, 108 for 2. A few of them sort of missed out on what potentially could have been an England thing. Georgia Adams got her debut over in Ireland in September. I was I did that series over there, and there were a few because they sort of sent this sort of not quite second string team, but not quite their full strength side. So there were a few caps given out at that point.
Number 22, Maddie Villiers.
And Katie Levick, I always think is one of those who's just missed out.
We've got another change of bowling, a change of ends as well for Maddie Villiers, who has been spun around. She was coming to the right of us from the City end. She's now bowling from the Palace end. Crystal Palace end, that is. Be interested to know Holly Armitage's thought process behind this. Often referred to as the best captain on the domestic circuit. It's a great start from Villiers. Dunkley still trying to find her rhythm here on 16 off 27. But I guess I imagine the players themselves would refute this. But the idea of Tier 1, this new generation of the women's game, is to create more players of the quality of Holly Armitage, Georgia Adams, Katie Levick, who are on the edge of the international setup. But very, very good players in their own right, and just increasing that depth all the way down.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, if there's no one pushing from the lower down tiers, then those at the top can become complacent, one might say. So, yeah, it's all about increasing the depth and then inspiring, you know, always talk about inspiring the next generation. But at the same time, you've got to let the generation that are playing at the moment flourish.
I think we might be about to see a shot from Dunkley.
Yeah, she does look like she's just getting a little frustrated, isn't she?
She's on 16 off 30. And of her last 9 balls faced, there's been 8 dots. She skips down the wicket and is able to get off strike. It's good work from Maddie Villiers, who's so important to this Durham side. She'll most likely bowl her 10 overs and be batting 4. So she's getting her money's worth.
Yeah, she's also an absolute gun fielder, Maddie Villiers.
Capsey able to force the ball to the right of mid-wicket. Get through for a single. That is the difference between these two out in the middle at the moment. Capsey, anytime she's facing a ball, she's scoring runs off it. Whereas Dunkley's just kind of paddling at the moment. Does paddling work?
Yes, I guess so.
Maybe.
Sort of treading water a
That's
little.
the one I was looking
yeah.
for. Treading water.
That's
Thank you.
exhausting. You know when they used to make you play water polo at school and you had to do the sort of egg beater underwater? It's exhausting.
I do remember having to do the swimming lessons at school, and you just had to tread water for ages.
Yeah, it's tiring. Did you have to do life saving at school, and they made you bring your pyjamas in? You had to tie them in a knot at the end, and you blew them up to use as a life.
Absolutely
Oh,
not.
it's fantastic! You also got to see what pyjamas everyone wore.
Right, after 22 overs, it's 110 for 2, so we're on exactly 5 runs an over. We have another change of bowler, so it was just 1 over for Katie Levick. We have a return to seam, and it's Sophia Turner who now comes on at the City end, and Sophia Turner who only had 1 over earlier. So lots of chopping and changing from Armitage, which normally suggests when a captain feels like there's a lot of runs out in the middle and they don't want the batters to be able to settle.
Yeah, and I like this as well because obviously she's got one batter who's looking far more comfortable than the other. Capsey going at run a ball 20, Dunkley struggling a little bit at the other end. So she'd just be thinking, we can just put a bit of pressure on here. Yes, you might get Capsey down the other end, but if she can have a go at Dunkley, who's just struggling to sort of find her feet at the moment today.
I wonder if Dunkley will be pleased to have pace on. So it gives her the opportunity, especially if they have this field that they currently have to Capsey, where there's a short third and a backward point. Massive expanse of space in the leg side where we have a deep backward square leg and a deep mid-wicket. Just be able to use the place to glance and deflect the ball away. It's a good start from Turner. I don't know, you really reminded me of a story when you refer to Katie Levick as the kind of forgotten generation, the lost generation. A couple of years ago I was trying to interview Saeed Ajmal.
Oh yeah.
And I was out in Pakistan doing the England Test tour. It was in 2022. And I was trying to do a piece on kind of Pakistani cricketers in county cricket. And I was looking up Syed Ajmal, who spent a lot of time at Worcestershire. And I found these news articles that were going kind of the mysterious disappearance of Syed Ajmal. Syed Ajmal has not been spotted for months.
Oh.
Driven down to Long On for one. There was nothing sinister about it. It was just a case of no one knew where the bloke was. I went, that's really weird. I wonder where's Syed Ajmal? I'd like to chat to him. And I walked into the hotel lobby in Karachi, and he was right there.
Oh, not behind the desk.
No, he was just sat having a cup of tea, and I was like, I found him.
I found him. I found him.
How do I let all these people on the internet know I've got him here? So he wasn't lost. That's wide from Turner. Sharp glove work from Bess Heath. Bess Heath. There's a lot of this Durham team were away on the England A tour to Australia. Just took place after the Ashes. It's a lovely shot from Dunkley. They've just found a little pocket, and Alice Capsey will take on Marlowe's arm and win.
No, it's good running, actually. Really good. Yeah, well, Capsey, she came out with 100 in the sort of, you can't call it, in the red ball game.
What is the official name of that? Because I was calling it the unofficial test. It was the official unofficial test.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call it the red ball match that they played in. Yeah, 100 for Capsey in that one.
It's wide once again from Turner. I don't think Armitage will mind too much if Turner's missing in that direction, because the protection she has got is on the offside. They've got 5 fielders, 4 of which are in the ring. So if she's missing one way or the other, it's better to miss wide than miss straight. Just cut away behind point. And that is 4 more runs. A productive over for Dunkley. It's a 2 and a 4.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfect placement, isn't it, from Dunkley? We've got all those fielders out on the offside, and she just manages to squeeze it past point, and it's got enough on it to race away. It's pretty quick, actually, this outfield today.
It's very quick.
Everyone told me it rained loads while I was away. I don't know what you're talking about.
Dot ball to finish at the end of the 23rd over. It is 119 for 2. No, Kirsty White, who is on commentary with us and used to play for Surrey a lot, when kind of asked to describe the characteristics and traits of Beckenham, just said runs.
Yeah, I think she's got a point, but also a beautiful part of the world and not tricky to get to. You know, I always think of Beckenham. Oh, gotta get all the way out of London. Oh. Actually, it was about 2 trains from Clapham Junction. It was fine.
No, it's very simple. Yeah. All the more reason to get down.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, sunny Beckenham.
There's a few in. I can see a few coffees, a few beers. Get your deck chair out.
Beers? Where are the beers you're seeing? It's
well,
11:50.
I can always spot a beer. I've been in Australia for 7 months. I can smell it.
Easy as you like from Capsey. Just rocks back to a length delivery from Villiers and tucks it away for 1.
I think this is an element of Capsey's game that I think she's really developing nicely the last few years. When she was, when she first burst onto the scene, she was just this big sea ball, hit ball. If it didn't come, it was sort of 5 or 50. And everything had to go. But she really is developing this sort of nuanced game, the rotating the strike and just working it, nurdling it, more than just, right, I'm just going to try and launch this through that person's window at deep mid-wicket.
It's well played by Dunkley. You're seeing the 2 batters go about facing spin in very different methods at the moment. Dunkley is far more on the front foot, looking to come down the wicket, where we've seen Capsey look to get on her back foot as quickly as possible. And Capsey's able to turn the ball away into the vacant square leg area. This is really when I really want Crick Viz on hand to give me stats about the number of dot balls Capsey's faced, because I reckon it's about 3. Daniel Norcross is lurking over my shoulder, ready to pounce in 2 balls' time. Dunkley just defends into the ground. It's another fine over from Villiers. 3 runs off it. Once again, Dunkley looks to advance, and a bit of turn for Villiers. Means it scuttles away into the leg side for a dot ball. After 24 overs, the score is 122 for 2. We're going to have a little bit more from Georgie Heath, and I'm going to get out of the way and be replaced by Daniel Norcross.
Yeah, this partnership building really nicely. Capsey, obviously the main aggressor of these two. She's doing the heavy hitting, and Dunkley has struggled somewhat to sort of read the pitch, read the turn, and find her timing today, but building nicely. It was a great start from Smith and Wyatt Hodge up the top, both dismissed in the 30s in the end. So they'll have, I think, actually, at the moment, Daniel Norcross, would you say sort of honours even?
I would.
Yeah.
I would. Entirely even, I'd say. I think Durham will be pleased on this deck that Surrey haven't got away to an absolute flyer. They're sort of 150, 160. At the same time, Surrey will recognise they've still got 8 wickets in hand. Oh, nice bit of innovation there. Flicks it away for 4. Haven't seen too much of that today. Saw Danny White-Hodge attempt one off Katie Levick that didn't come off, but that's using the pace perfectly. As of 25 balls into her innings, Capsey has faced 9 dots. That's
Well, this one definitely wasn't a dot. Really nice. Moved across early and just used the pace.
a lovely shot, isn't it? And it's so important. If you can do that off the pace bowler, just makes the skipper think about a fielding change. Do they have to take a fine leg back to cover that shot? Got to take them from somewhere else. By the way, I'm sure you would have mentioned this already, but Phoebe Turner, nickname Tina.
Love that.
Yep,
Yep.
absolutely fine. I mean, it was used to the exclusion of anything else. Come on, Tina, what? Bowl Tina, stuff Tina. Tina, come on, Tina. I think she would have left that. It might have been a wide, but gets a bottom edge on it. But it kind of then begs the question, Sophie Turner.
Okay.
If Phoebe's nabbed Tina, what is Sophie? As a gentleman next to us here just suggested it has to be Ike.
That's going straight over my head, I'm afraid.
Ike and Tina Turner were an item.
Got it. Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to say it was something of an abusive relationship, so maybe it's not. Maybe you don't want to be nicknamed Ike.
Maybe, I'm trying.
And also, you'd be starting to think of Eisenhower. I mean, it's altogether none of it's really working, but. So we've either got to call her Ike, or we've got to find out.
We've got to find another Turner.
I can't hear what her nickname is out there. Oh, it's gone for it again. It's got it even better this time, Capsey. That is wonderfully deft. Just moving across the crease again, using the pace. There's really not an awful lot wrong with this ball, George, is there?
No, not at all, but it's just Capsey, she's premeditated this one. It's got a lot of height on it, but it's just glorious looking shot.
So it's a deep fine leg, but it is so straight. So straight over the bowler's head. Let's see, where are the boundary riders? That's gone down to more long leg now, so. Bit of width, make sure that shot isn't on, but 2 boundaries in the over, 3 singles. Surrey just starting to inject a bit of momentum into their innings now. 133 for 2. Wasp is up to 295.
Buzzing along nicely, wouldn't mind that.
So all 4 Surrey batters, as you can see there, have got a start. Wyatt Hodge and Smith both hold out the boundary. One off a full-blooded sweep, Bridie Smith. Wyatt Hodge driving a wide one as the players take drinks. Straight into Dobson's hands.
as well as hot and cold
There's
drinks
nothing in the pitch to
drinks.
encourage the bowlers. Touch of spin for Fraser at the start, but other than that, it looks like a belting track.
It does, very much. And the glorious weather for it, just everything that you think,
Heavenly.
I just want to be a batter on a day like today.
Well, I went down and had a little sit down there. And don't get me wrong, I love doing the live stream, but I actually just wanted to stay
Just
there.
wanted to sit and watch.
Yeah.
That's
Crack open
understandable.
a bottle of chilled white wine and maybe munch on a hot dog.
Oh, hot dog, would that be your snack
got a-
of choice?
Well, I've got a yearning for it today. I don't know why.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
right. But like
yeah.
just one
With
of the
lots of
rubbishy
mustard.
Frankfurter ones,
Yeah,
you know, the worst ones.
dirty,
yeah, the
worst
ones you
food.
sort of get out of a jar,
Yeah.
or like the plasticky.
Yeah.
I know the
Go
ones.
as filthy as possible.
And you're like, has this ever actually met an animal in its life? Like,
yes.
this could almost be vegan because it's probably not actually anything. Maddie Villiers could eat it.
Yes, I mean, they could keep it in space for
Yeah.
about 6 months. It would never go
Though,
off.
that and Twinkies.
Is that right?
Oh, apparently so. Yeah.
Is a Twinkie
Twinkies
the
are going
bar
to
of choice in
Twinkies
space?
and cockroaches are going to outlive all of us, I think. That's
Well, that'll be strange, won't it, for a re-evolved humankind in about 2,000 years' time when they suddenly discover this gigantic stash of Twinkies.
There you go.
Wonder
So
what
I've
that
got a
is.
friend who rode the Atlantic, you know, as you do.
Oh, no, like Cracknell.
Yes. So
did
him
that,
and
didn't he?
another guy did it while we were at uni. So I mean, he was about
Years
20. Well, I don't know. Yeah, all those years ago, and they got sent about 3,000 pepperami.
Oh, yeah, I can see how that would work.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
they just stocked up on those. A hell of a lot of protein. They
Protein.
fit in a small space. Easy.
They do,
Bob's your
don't they?
uncle. There you go.
Yeah, I think they've got to be absolutely insane
Yeah,
to row
oh.
the Atlantic.
Yeah,
it's
I
quite
think-
a choppy old sea, isn't it?
I think they spent
Ocean
Christmas
even.
Day with it batten down the hatches, sort of rolling over and over, and then on Boxing Day it was fine, and they caught some fresh tuna. So you know,
Did they?
swings and roundabouts. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. It's a very strange one though. I can't say
Very
it
lonely.
appeals to me too
You've
much.
got to get on with the person you're in the boat with, haven't you? Because any kind of, you're going to get irritated with each other up to a point, but you've got to have a solid relationship to make it
Oh,
all the way
yeah.
across the Atlantic, I think.
Or you just don't. You've got to just not know each other at all, almost.
Oh, yeah, so we can start from the beginning.
Yeah.
There's so much to find out. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I mean, since it's never going to be an issue for me.
Are we not going to go and do it?
Our producer is quite clearly incensed with our chat about about rowing because he's showing us the match summary. Wicked appeasement, Levick and Turner. But no, we're not going to do that, are we? I mean, I know you run in enormously long distances, but rowing,
Oh, rowing does. Yeah, and
the chafing, the salty water.
yeah, not for me. And I don't want tan lines like that. Thanks. You know.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
Will that be an
yeah,
issue?
that's the problem. That's the real problem.
Right.
Yeah, and just the hand blisters.
Blisters.
Just none of that. No. I also don't like tuna
Oh, that's
or
a shame.
pepperami.
What about raw tuna? You don't like raw
No, I'll
tuna?
be alright. But tin tuna, there's nothing worse.
No, I know what you mean.
You
It's
know?
a terrible disappointment, isn't it? It's overcooked. You should never overcook fish.
There was someone ate a tuna sandwich on my train the other day. I had to move carriage.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Is
it was one of
that
those.
foul for you?
Yeah.
Can you smell the waft of chips?
I can actually, and they do smell really good.
Yeah. Because we've got place goujons on the menu today.
Oh.
So I've checked all that out. So it's a relatively long drinks break, but that's to be expected. It's a hot day today. It's going to be, I think, the hottest day of the year. Alert. We had the hottest day of the year yesterday. We're going to have the hottest day of the year again today. It is bloody lovely, and you would be insane not to come down here if you were nearby, because
Yeah.
it's a kind of quite sweet bucolic seed, isn't it? As well as the trees are now becoming fulsome with their blossom. And this is from the ground staff, by the way. So we've had a slight change. City End, definitely that stays the same. Crystal Palace End, as we had at one point thought, has been changed to the Beckenham End. Love the ground staff. Thank you, ground staff. That's very kind of you. It's the City End away to our right, and the Beckenham End away to our left.
I just wish they could come up with more fun things, don't
Yeah,
you?
I mean, we have this at Birmingham, and one end is the City End, and it's the most unimaginatively named
Isn't
end.
it?
I mean, if they'd said the brutalist, miserablest end,
Yeah.
that would be altogether more accurate description.
Honestly, I think just get involved, get people voting and coming up with names. You know, Boaty McBoface.
Yeah.
As soon as the public get, the Endy McEnd face.
End face is going to happen then, isn't it? Yeah. Right, Maddie Villiers is continuing. So far, she's one of a phalanx of spinners who have been the most effective out there, perhaps not the most spectacular, as Villiers starts in the over, by which I mean down the leg side, wide will be signalled, is I really liked watching Phoebe Turner bowl. I was watching her downstairs from side on. She bowled a bouncer that was really hostile, really vicious. I can't remember which batter was placed on her backside, but she was hitting the bat really hard. And actually, you could tell, Georgie, you know when people are trying to play a drive, usually it's a bit more obvious, isn't it, with a short ball, because it comes onto them faster and it hits high at the bat. But actually, when playing the drive, they weren't getting into the shot before the ball has arrived. So she's certainly got pace, and given that the batters she's bowling at are used to pace, it's an encouraging one for the future. Because, I mean, what do you think about the Tier 1? I mean, I said something the other day which I think is what encapsulates what this is about. That when you see Amanda Jade Wellington come out and hit 6 fours, take 3 wickets, win the game for her side, and Wello can't get in the Aussie side. I mean, she's got nowhere near it at the moment. That's kind of what this tournament is hoping to develop, isn't it, for England? So, someone will score hundreds, someone will take wickets, but what they're doing is putting pressure on the first choice players,
Yeah, and that is what it's about, isn't it? It's about pressuring them without the complacency at the top. That's what Cam and I were saying earlier. But yeah, like you say,
that's pitched miles outside leg stump, so you're not going to get that one.
There is just an astonishing depth in Australian cricket. It's quite terrifying, actually, having spent the winter/summer, whatever you want to call it, watching it. And you know that someone like Wello is not going to get into that side because there's 2 people ahead of her, maybe 3, and then
Alana
she comes
King,
out.
Georgia Wareham, and a whole host of other spinners that aren't leggies, but yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed her innings the other day when she basically mentioned that she was trying to take out the cars in the car park.
That's a very Wello thing.
Isn't it? Isn't it? Well, 26 overs gone, 136 for 2. But no, that's what's really exciting about this. Obviously, we've had the regional structure in the way it was, however discombobulated it might have been, and however many, there were sort of 8 counties playing for Sunrisers at one point, and they couldn't buy a win in the first few years, and then they came out on top at the end. So, it was all sort of chop and change, and as we know, the Vipers just kept bagging all the wins, but
the Vipers,
the team that everyone loves to hate, and I think that you always love to hate the people that are winning. Quite often you get it with Surrey, as you know, people love to hate who wins.
Well, Charlotte Edwards was coach of the Vipers, and when they won I think it was the inaugural Kia Super League, we had the post-tournament celebrations took place. I think it was at Stansted Airport. Madly.
Oh yeah.
Great big hangar.
Do you just get handed a ticket and you're off to Benidorm?
Sadly not. It's a marvellous night, but I saw Lottie, who's now head coach, that evening. I've got a picture of her on my phone, draped in an inflatable Viper.
Oh yes.
Slightly the worst wear, extremely celebrating hard, let's put it that way.
Yes, well, play hard, celebrate hard. If you win, do whatever you like, really, I guess. But I think even you mentioning, the Kia Super League, we've been through all these undulations. We had the Kia Super League, and then that faded out, and then we came into the Rachel Hayhoe Flint, the Charlotte Edwards, and now we're going into Tier 1, Tier 2, and this sort of equivalent of an FA Cup, which I find really exciting.
I do. I like that. For people of a certain age, the Gillette Cup satisfied that sense of jeopardy, and it gave some incredible stories. I remember Yorkshire losing once. I can't remember to whom, but Geoffrey Boycott can remember every single detail of that match because it's kind of humiliating. They're full professionals. They were seen on TV every week. The BBC covered Benson Hedges, Gillette, John Player League, and they'd pitch up, and often the pitches themselves would be a little bit shaky. And that's, you might get a little bit of that, mightn't you, when a Tier 1 side's playing away against a Tier 2 or Tier 3 team, and the pitch isn't necessarily quite as manicured as they're expecting, and then, somebody has their day, a spinner runs, goes wild.
Yeah, and I think it's a really exciting prospect as well, because obviously he gets, there's a little misfield there. She managed to keep it in, just about. He gets the eyes on different counties. You know, you might think, you know, if you live in Buckinghamshire, wherever, where can I get involved? What can I get involved in? But actually, then you're playing for Buckinghamshire against Hampshire or Surrey, or, you know, and you're up against some of these England players, England hopefuls, and that's daunting. But the only way you're going to get better is if you play against top players.
Well, one of our colleagues, Melissa Story, the other day in Tier 2, struck a half century.
Well, there you go. See?
I think it was a winning cause.
So, I like the Jeopardy.
I do.
Yeah.
I like the Jeopardy.
We love an underdog story, us English.
So it's been steady stuff from Ike, as we've decided to call it.
The only Turner I think of is Alex Turner.
Alex Turner?
Yeah.
What is he? Was he in Blur or something? Who's Alex Turner?
I think he's Arctic Monkeys.
Is he?
Yeah.
Stuart Turner is my vintage, a blonde all-rounder for Essex in the 1970s and 80s. Can't think of many other Turners, which is weird, really, because it's an extremely common name, isn't it?
There's an artist? Is there?
JMW.
There we go.
Oh, maybe we'd call her JMW.
It's a nice short nickname.
Bit of a mouthful. Yeah, good call from you.
Thank you.
It's fighting Temeraire and all that. Yeah.
I like to think it makes me sound cultured.
You are cultured. You raise the tone of what is, frankly, pretty tawdry live stream. Me, Yaz and Cam, most of our thoughts remain in the gutter. 143 for 2, 27 overs gone. 23 remaining, and Wasp is hovering around 300.
So I had a question come in from someone earlier about Surrey, and are they the side with the most double-barrelled surnames?
Tilly Courtine Coleman, White Hodge, Davidson Richards. We've got another one. McDonald Gay.
McDonald Gay. There must be.
Yes, I did mention this to them in pre-season, that it can be quite tricky, especially if two of them are batting at the same time, and if they're facing Nat Sciver-Brunt, for example, and on it goes. I think you might be right. I used to play for a cricket club that if you sorted all the names of all the cricket clubs on character length, we finished top, because we were the Edward Alleyne and Honor Oak Cricket Club.
Oh wow, yeah. Well, at least you finished. Was
that
the only time you finished top? Yeah.
Very, 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 very much so. Yes. But then, to my chagrin, the committee decided to change the name to the Alleyne Cricket Club, and suddenly we weren't even top of that.
Oh. I mean,
alphabetically we were quite handy.
Oh yeah, I always used to feel sorry for, you know, when you have really long names on name tapes, and when your mum had to sew your name tapes on your school uniform. And my name's relatively short, it was fine.
Now then, that's gone aerial, but it's going to land safely towards deep square leg where Marlowe does the fielding.
But I always felt sorry for Christiana Maria Ruseva, who was a girl in my year at school, and her name was about as long as my arm, and those aren't short.
Yeah.
An absolute nightmare for her mum to sew on.
We had a boy called Tilan Srinivini Pavanananthan, and I think that did take a little bit of a while. My parents were so exceptionally tight that they got name tags made with, so my brother's initials were MJ, Norcross, and then in order not to spend extra money, they just put AJ at the end, because that was my second brother's name, so that when my younger brother grew into his older brother's clothes, they simply cut off the MJ part at the front and it said Norcross AJ.
And so then what about you? Did they just cut them all and yours just said Norcross?
Well, I was, as you can probably imagine, not so much an afterthought as a catastrophic mistake.
Aren't we all?
Yes, so then there was a complete rethink. I think actually what happened then was that they just dispensed with the MJ and the AJ, and I was just left with Norcross written on it, because by that stage there was no danger of confusion. End of the over, 147 for 2. There are all sorts of ways of exhibiting your post-war frugality back in the day.
Well, I always like seeing Heath on the back of Bess Heath's kit. I think it's the only time you're going to see it. I'm going to see
Norcross. I never see that. Heath, you'll get a few of them, won't you? You've had it. Well, I suppose Heath Street wouldn't have counted, but Ted Heath. You've got Teddy.
Yes, I would
in
say
your
Heath
locker.
Ledger, but then I wonder if we're sort of
Double barreling.
past that now. Yeah.
Might be a bit. Now, you've got a fair few Heaths. My only claim to fame with my name is that the very first recorded century by a woman in any form of cricket ever in the 18th century. Oh, that's a bit of a moon ball, and it's been given the treatment. Absolutely thrashed through deep mid-wicket. Just wait to see if the umpire's going to signal no ball or not. No, but they may have judged that Capsey, as Surrey's 150 comes up, has advanced so far down that by the time she took it, even if it looked like it was above waist height, it wouldn't have been had she stayed where she was. We'll take another look at this. That's quite high. That's a better shot, if anything, because she's managed to find that gap, pierce the gap between deep mid-wicket and long on, and Capsey's now just starting to motor a couple of back-to-back fours. She's up to 48.
Yeah, and what's really funny is actually, if you looked at that on a wagon wheel, it would almost be an identical line, those two, but two completely different shots. The first one, the full toss, almost could have got a baseball bat out to that one. The second one, just slightly shorter, sort of on the half volley, and given the same treatment, gets the same result.
Fraser's first 2 overs went for just the 3 runs. If it was 4 for just 13, but it's under pressure here. Coming round the wicket to try to change that angle, make that slog sweep that much more tricky. Yes, Sarah Norcross is the first ever recorded woman to make 100 in any form of cricket.
Oh, there you go. We could pretend you're related.
Well, I think we are, because there aren't very many of us.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was like the 1780s, so none of that genetic material has really manifested itself in my own acumen with the bat, sadly. It's sort of homeopathic by now. I've got like a left toenail of Sarah Norcross. Disappointingly, that's been nicely driven. Again, it's all about the placement. Gets it to the left of mid-off. And this is now a bit of a bother for Fraser. 3 fours in the over. And it's now Dunkley getting in on the act.
Yeah, manages to pierce that gap perfectly, doesn't she, Dunkley? She's struggled a little bit so far today, but that was just given nice bit of width for that drive.
Yeah, when you think of a sort of classic Dunkley shot, end of the over, 13 from it, 160 for 2 after 29, you kind of think of it getting right underneath the ball and sort of muscling it over long on or deep mid-wicket, don't you? So that it's a good sign when you see the extra cover drive going so well, especially the placement of it, the timing of it so good.
Yeah, and she just looks just a little more comfortable than she did earlier. Obviously, that was a very expensive over from Fraser, but Dunkley earlier on, she was struggling to sort of rotate the strike, and that's what Capsey was doing so well, and then just muscling them when she was given the opportunity. And now Dunkley and Capsey, this partnership is looking pretty dangerous for the home side, actually. Capsey eyeing up a half century here.
Yes, one shy of it at the moment. And she gets there with just a little nudge. That's a deep square leg. A ripple of applause. Half century for Capsey. She will think, though, that the job is only half done, if that. There's definitely a big score here for the taking on what is a very accommodating wicket. 50 or 45 balls at good pace.
Yeah, and I think Capsey will be eyeing up to pushing on from here. You know, there's runs for the taking here today, you would think.
Well, there's something of a spotlight on Alice Capsey, and it's, you know, when we talk about how this competition, it's not designed to put pressure on the players that are there, but the hoped for byproduct is that by broadening the scope of professionalism in the women's game, and by just giving it more resource and more association with the men's professional game,
and
you're going to get players, you know, challenging. And Alice Capsey is one of those players who's just, you know, just has had her first kind of wobble in what's been a stellar career. She's still incredibly young, and those are going to happen. So she ought to sort of silence those doubts. Oh, that skewed away off a thick edge, which is going to get 4 for it. Wasn't precisely where she wanted it to go. Well, it probably was where she wanted it to go, but it wasn't precisely how she wanted to get it there.
If you asked her, she'd say that's exactly what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
If you asked me, I'd be like, yeah, been practicing that.
Too right. Nothing wrong with a thick edge, just leading back ever so slightly, but there are plenty of gaps out there.
And I think also what's really drawn my attention, especially with the revamped tier system, is the attraction of the overseas players. There seem to be a lot of Australians who brought themselves over this season. Obviously, Weller, we talked about, she's been here and there, but there's quite a few of them up at Lancs. You've got Elise Perry's come over, joining Hampshire. Of course she has.
Of course she has. Grace Harris will be coming to Surrey. Oh, now they had to get the dive in there, but she did successfully. 8 off the over. 168 for 2. That was a bum ball, that, so if you were worrying about whether or not that was a drop catch. But, well, the dive, I think, would have made her safe even if it had been a direct hit.
Yeah, it does well to get the dive in. And, yeah, as you say, bump ball, you wouldn't see Maddie Villiers dropping very many. She would have been kicking herself if she dropped that one on the return.
Now, Hypercourse has been in touch a couple of times. And apropos of Alice Capsey, he says, in her last 5 innings across the England A Tour and the start of Tier 1, Alice Capsey has had 103 50s. And she had scored 3 50s in the 5 seasons of the Rachel Hay Flynn Trophy, which I think is the point actually illustrated perfectly, isn't it? That they want England's players to play in this tournament precisely because they want, they want to create that atmosphere in the tournament. Glenn starts a new over.
Yeah, so that bringing back Fraser has actually just lasted the one expensive over. It's been taken off again. And also, my brain just went very strange when you said that. I heard 103 50s, and I was like, 103 50s? She's done a lot of batting.
Well, I should really have said 4 scores above 50, of which one was 100. Because Andy Zaltzman, quite correctly, is infuriated by the notion of somebody having, 18 50s and 500s. No, they've not. They've got 23 scores above 50. 5 times they've converted it into 100. And he's absolutely right. So if somebody says, that's their 19th 50, well, it isn't if they've got 500s, is it? It's their 24th.
It's true.
But, cricket is full of pedantry. Like my absolute infuriation with the word maximum to describe a 6.
Well, yes.
You know how I get about that. I get very touchy. And it's totally unnecessary on my part, but I do.
Especially when it has to have something else on the front, some kind of a sponsor maximum.
Oh. Don't.
This is a car wash maximum or whatever it is. Well, a washing machine.
Few things tickle me more than David Gower at the PSL having to do this. That's what he has to say. And that's a Tapol T cover drive for 4. And you can hear it.
And then you sort
he
of
feels it so undignified.
And then there are ones, and you look across, and there's a man on a little bicycle making a washing machine go around. Yeah. That was a good time as well. I think I want that job.
We interrupt this programme to wax lyrical about a car.
Yes.
I actually don't mind it. That's been beautifully smote away straight. Again, placement was a key to that, and Dunkley's just had a couple come out of the middle of her bat. She's driving really nicely now as Surrey look to accelerate with 8 wickets in hand.
Yeah, talking of cars, the driving is now being done by Dunkley. She's now eyeing up the half century too, so really nice partnership between these two.
Well, that'll keep her the strike at the end of the over, an over that's yielded another 7 runs. Surrey 175.
And what I like as well is that Dunkley's not forcing it now. Earlier on, she looked like she was trying to force too much, and she gets herself really low when she looked like she's really just thinking about muscling, and she gets really down in that squat. She's holding herself a little taller and just striking it nicely now. She's really found some rhythm.
She really has. And those are the slight warning signs for Durham with 8 wickets in hand, 19 overs left. you would probably be targeting, if you're playing a T20 here at Beckenham, I think you would be targeting 170, wouldn't you? Like, sort of, that'd be kind of your benchmark. Now, granted, you might say Surrey are, you know, let's say they're 5 for 2 after 1 over. That might rather hamper that. But I think they'll nonetheless, they will hope that if this partnership can keep going for another 9 overs or so, there's still Alice Davidson-Richards to come, and Paige Schofield and Kira Chatley. They'll be eyeing in excess of the 315 that Wasp is currently suggesting. Oh! But then again, of course, bowlers are entitled to bowl good balls, and that nearly drags back onto the stumps. Hypercost has also been in touch about double barrelage.
Oh, thanks, Hypercost.
He says, the multitude of double barrels at Surrey are carrying on the tradition of Ebony, Jewel, Coralie, Camellia, Rosamond, Rainford, Brent.
I'm glad I didn't have to sew that on. I'd run out of...
Buy a tapestry. Basically, whoever was doing that was probably commissioned for Ebony's name.
Yeah, you'd be running out of thread.
Yes. Now then. Kirsty's also been in touch. To let us know, Kirsty White, our colleague on the live stream, that Dunks' record at Beckenham is nothing short of fearsome. With a bit of luck, Hypercourse can save us the effort of scrabbling around desperately in front of computers to get the precise figure. I say that, I feel very guilty about using Hypercourse in this remote way. Do you find, I mean, we did it quite a bit during fair break and everything, didn't we? Just basically,
but it's because Hypercourse knows, help. Exactly, yeah, and he's awake at the most bizarre at all the times.
24 hours.
Yeah.
I swear to God that Hypercourse is a little bit like that writing collective that came out of Milan back in the 90s called Luther Blissett, which wasn't just one person. It was almost like an anarchist writing collective. 176 for 2 after 32 overs. Luther Blissett was a former Watford player that went to play for, I think, Inter Milan, or was it AC? It was one of the two. And he became a bit of a cult hero. And then this Italian collective of anarchists wrote a novel, rather good one from memory, under the title, under the sort of the name Luther Blissett. And I just can't see how it's possible for Hypercourse to be one human being.
No, but I also have this image that Hypercourse is in a sort of den.
Oh, definitely a den. Yeah.
Multiple screens.
Yes.
And a sort of a chair that just has a little, like... Yeah, one of those things that you wiggle around, like a gaming chair kind of thing. So you don't have to press a remote or find the remote because it's always down the side of the sofa.
I think I know exactly what we're thinking of here. We're thinking of the archetype in a heist movie.
Yes.
Leading edge in the air for a little while. You know the one in the heist movie that stays in that room.
Yes.
In the underground bunker with all the screens.
Yeah.
While George Clooney et al. Go and do the actual
is that
robbing.
Us? Is that us?
No, that's Hypercourse.
Are we not George Clooney et al. Then?
We're George
we
Clooney.
Are.
We are George Clooney, which is faintly preposterous. And Hypercourse is the person who makes it all possible. You know, who's in our ears saying, "Travel 20 yards south, and then you'll come across a sprinkler. Open the sprinkler. Go through the duct. Hang down. There's the diamond." You know, all that stuff.
Yeah, it sounds perfect. It's got legs, this, I think.
I think so. Just with a single out to long on. Durham just a last. I mean, look, it's fractions of moments in the game, but in the last 9 or 10 balls, just starting to kind of pull it back a touch from where Surrey were at. Surrey had a lot of momentum going into their batting, but you also feel that it might be ready to ramp up another notch as Dunkley's on the verge of a half-century. And with that, she will get it. Slight misfield at mid-off. So 50 to Dunkley. 5-4, 63 balls. She and Capsey, both with half-centuries. This powerhouse middle order that Surrey have got. And now you just sense, don't you, that it's going to be pedal to the metal pretty much.
Yeah, you would think so. She did well to work herself through sort of an uncomfortable period.
Oh, there goes Capsey. That is a wonderful shot. It might have just landed inside the rope. I think the fielder signalled 4. And now the umpire signals 4. But there is a long on back there, but she's got that wide enough. Ooh, well, it looks... Well, I'd like to see that one again, because it looked quite close to getting over the boundary, but the 100 partnership has come up.
That was nonchalant, wasn't it, from Capsey? It didn't look like she quite middled it either, but it really got the legs on it.
She goes again. That's a fabulous shot. Great placement, good timing. Marlowe's dive is in vain. So 2 boundaries to finish the over. 187 for 2, 33 gone. Yes, it felt that once Dunkley's half century had come up that there was going to be a certain amount of gay abandon.
Oh, sorry. So my grandma had this she was a terrifying driver, but she had this Saab that had this sport button on it.
Ooh, oh.
And so this is kind of what they're doing now. They've just suddenly pressed the sport button and they've just gone into, and there was this sort of beige. It was horrible. It was terrifying. She was sort of 89 and drove at a million miles an hour around the North Yorkshire moors. You know, one of them. Press the sport mode and off you go. And that's exactly what Surrey are doing here. They've just put their Kia into sport mode and off they go.
Yeah, but it makes for rather fun watching, doesn't it? What's your take on the pitch? I mean, obviously it's a really good one, but is this what you want to see more of for women's cricket? You know, good. It's got decent carry, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, I like to see a bit of something for everyone, and that sounds so boring. But I don't want to I'm not really into the just big bish bash bosh, runs all in direction. I like there to be something in it for the bowlers. We've not seen much turn, really.
No, weirdly enough, it's actually the new ball turn more. There's a slight hesitation there, but all's well that ends well. Yeah, Fraser got the ball to turn a little bit more with the new ball, but since then, you're right, I haven't seen a great deal of deviation off the pitch.
I think that perhaps Wyatt Hodge and Smith will be looking at these two and thinking they really missed out. They were in. The two of them both got themselves into the 30s, and there was the opportunity for runs there.
Yes, it can be annoying, can't it? I mean, obviously on one level they're absolutely delighted that their colleagues are going so well. The other part of it is, oof, it's 100 for the taking there. Tiny misfield, but it won't result in an extra run.
See, I just know that I would be confused because the umpire is also wearing navy blue.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh, no, was a no ball just signalled there? Yes, it was.
There you go.
Well, that is, I'm afraid, slightly criminal for an off spinner. So free hit coming up now, which has been larruped for, well, again, it's so close to the rope. Up go the arms, 6 is signalled. So the very worst possible outcome for Maddie Villiers, who bowled well in that over up to that point. Advancing well was Dunkley.
4. Yeah, that is absolutely muscled. For a moment, fielder thought she was in with the chance, stuck out her right hand. And you can sense it from Dunkley, can't you? She's got that eagerness.
Well, exactly that. She's done the first part of the job. She's got to a half century. She's got a bit of confidence in her play. And now she's got licence, with Surrey going nicely at 197 for 2. Oh, slightly wrong foot's backward point and brings forward. Inventive shot, but it's in the air for a while. Very nearly picked out the fielder. Instead, it brings up Surrey's 200. 13 runs from the over. 201 for 2. 16 overs remain. Are you skedaddling?
Why skedaddling? I think I might have. Do I have another
so, yeah.
over? I've got another over.
Another over, yeah, right.
I actually wanted to pick your brains on something here, Dan.
Oh, yeah,
so we
fire
just saw
away.
earlier on that Lauren Winfield Hill is going on loan. She's going off to Essex. I think. She's up at Yorkshire.
Because she's at a Tier 2 county at the moment.
Exactly, and so this is something I find interesting. So Stair Callis, another Tier 2 county, she's at Yorkshire at the moment. She's on loan at Warwickshire. So I find this very interesting because obviously Yorkshire are a bit of an anomaly. They're going to move up earlier into the Tier 1 system.
Next year, yes.
So there are players, they're attached to these Tier 2 sides, but actually they're going off and playing on loan all over the country anyway.
Yes, I think that might be part of the sort of teething problems of Yorkshire being a Tier 1 county next year, but not this year. And so you've then got somebody like Lauren Winfield-Hill who'll play in the 100. You know, she'll still even harbour ambitions to play for England again. Why not? Opened with Tammy Beaumont for years, didn't she? And she might be thinking, in the few remaining years I have left in my professional career,
I need to be playing at that top level.
Tier 1, yeah, which is, I suppose, something that you'll hope will be ironed out by the course of next year. But there's also, it's gone the other way, hasn't it? It's said Emma Jones on loan.
Yes, she's at Glamorgan.
Glamorgan, and has got 140 the other day in Tier 2.
Exactly. So I think that's something that needs to...
It's imperfect at the moment, but then it's possibly less imperfect than it was, and you know, it's all about moving in the right direction, I would say.
Yes, very much so.
You know, we were watching a game here the other day where bowling at one end was Charlie Dean, the other end was Amanda Jade Wellington, and batting was Danny Wyatt-Hodge and Alice Capsey.
Oh, there you go.
Well,
yeah.
I'm watching an international, aren't I?
Yeah.
That's really cleverly played, because there is a long on back, but she's managed to get it up and over the mid-off with really good use of the feet, just opening the face slightly and getting up and over the fielder for another boundary. And suddenly, I mean, we were only talking about Capsey bringing up her 50 a moment ago, she's now on 71.
Yeah, really up that strike rate, hasn't she? And they talk about cricket having one man and his dog. Well, there is a man and his dog hanging out there, but there's a hell of a lot of people actually down in deck chairs watching.
I've come across a few lovely dogs today. Oh, now that was tight. Capsey was just a little casual with her running there. The throw came in. Yes, I've seen some lovely dogs. There was one up here. There's 3 or 4 downstairs.
Well, the good news is that with that,
tuffers.
I get to disappear, and I'm going to go and find some. No, I haven't got him with me at the moment.
Oh.
Another day.
Sorry, if you're
Another
wondering,
day.
Tuffers is the name of Georgie's dog,
Yes.
not actually Tuffers. No.
Well, I'm going to leave you with the thoughts down in Norcross. And
Thank you.
yes, we'll be back with you.
Thank you very much. 209 for 2. 15 overs remain. You'd imagine Surrey would be targeting something like 8 to 9 and over. Which, were they to do that, would get them another 120 odd, which is sort of kind of where Wasp is actually, isn't it, at the moment, at 331. The win and the score predictor, if you're wondering what Wasp stands for. As Villiers begins her final over. Just seeing a few more of the old reverse sweeps and dinks and innovations in the last 20 minutes or so.
Well, a couple of overs ago, there was no ball down.
Yes.
It wasn't because Maddie Villiers overstepped. It was a fielding infringement.
Oh, was that what it was? It was inside the circles, was it?
Sophia Turner, who's fielding just in front of us, was furiously waving without making any noises to her skipper, Holly Armitage.
Yes, okay, so they've done half the job, the semaphore, but yeah.
But it was too late.
Too late.
And I actually wonder if that alerted the umpire as well as the captain.
Yeah, fair point.
Umpire James Treadwell eventually raising his left arm. I think Surrey have played this really well. They've not got too greedy, I think. They've consistently been scoring at around about 7 to 8 runs and over the last 45 minutes.
Yeah, it gets quite hard to rein it in at this point, though, doesn't it? When you're looking at 14 and a half overs to go and 8 wickets in hand, and still plenty of batting to come. I mean, you should never really think about the batting to come. You should be thinking, we're both in. We are best placed here to capitalise. It's nicely bowled by Villiers. She, I think, knew that Capsey was going to advance, and she's coming round the wicket, so she tried to cramp her and not give her the opportunity to release those arms and swing it out over either long on or deep mid wicket.
and they've managed to go at 7 to 8 runs and over, despite Maddie Villiers from one end bowling a very tidy spell, yet to take a wicket.
Oh, a misfield, a backward point. They should get back for 2, and they will. So one more ball of Villiers to negotiate.
Yeah, Durham have just not been able to string a bowling partnership together today. I think for most of the day there's been someone who's gone pretty well from one end.
Single to complete the over, 6 off it, 215 for 2.
But not too many periods where they managed to keep a lid on the scoring rate from both ends. So it's meant that Surrey haven't really had to take too many undue risks. Maddie Villiers completes her 10 over spell, gets a pat on the back from Fraser. 10 overs, none for 49.
And there you can
which
see.
I think is a pretty tidy day's work.
It is
conditions.
on this pitch, it really is. But there you can see what are the remaining options. There are plenty of them. There's this partnership now, 134 between Capsey and Dunkley, with power to add, 14 overs to go.
We had a message earlier from Kirsty alerting us about
The end.
Sophia Dunkley's
Yes,
record
yes.
at Beckenham.
At Beckenham, have we got it?
Kirsty's instincts were obviously correct.
Yes.
Sophia Dunkley before today averaged more than 60 in 50 over cricket here at Beckenham.
Well,
With
she's
century.
going to maintain that average at least.
Yes.
We're having a drinks break. It's be the second drinks break of the innings. So the time 20 to 1. We've had 36 overs. We're in our second drinks break. 36 overs.
Amazing.
2 hours and 8 minutes.
As it should be.
Oh, the waft of the chips is coming into my nose. There's the place goujons. Do you think they've got tartar sauce? Tell me they've got tartar sauce and a lemon wedge. Oh, hello. Mayonnaise, tartar sauce. There's a lot of chips there. I wonder if I can negotiate a reduction in the amount of chips and an increase in the amount of place goujon. That could be an awkward conversation.
I think I've timed my stints really badly.
You
here,
have,
Dan.
haven't you? Yeah, it's really good, this. Yeah. Yeah, this is going to work absolutely perfectly for me.
You've got
I've
2
got
overs to go. Is it one over?
Yeah,
One over
just
to go?
just 1 over to
Yeah.
go. Then I'm going to be straight into the place goujons.
Well, I hope that Durham can maintain their excellent over rate.
I tell you who's I've really enjoyed watching today, and the figures aren't stellar, 1 for 34 from 6, but Phoebe Turner has got some pace to her, and I'm expecting her to come back into the attack with 14 overs remaining. I wonder how the rest of those overs will be divvied up though. You'd think a few from her. Katie Levick's obviously going to bowl. Fraser, you imagine, will come back in the attack. Well, here is Katie Levick with her leggies.
Well, there's potentially still quite a lot of spin to be bowled. Katie Levick has 4 overs. Catherine Fraser has 5 overs.
That could be 9 out of the 14.
Yeah. And you imagine that from what we've seen today, Phoebe Turner will bowl out?
I would think so. Crowd slightly bubbling up as well today, I'm pleased to say. If you're in the environs, get down here if you'd like to. It's a beautiful day. There's just enough of a gentle breeze for you not to get too hot. But it feels like the first... I always feel like I'm going to smell suntan lotion for the first time. You know, and that has a very Proustian twang to me, the smell of suntan lotion, the sound of cricket.
You're going to have to explain that. Why is the smell of sun cream give off a Proustian twang?
Right. Well, I don't know if you're familiar with À la recherche de temps perdu by the French writer Marcel Proust, but it's an incredibly long book which translates as in remembrance of things gone by, things past. And smell is a very, very important thing for him. He talks at great length about smells evoking childhood, adolescence, his 20s. He almost sort of can compartmentalise moments in his life and have them associated with smell. Well, similarly, I smell the suntan lotion, and all my summers come bursting back to me. I merge. Another reverse, and she's found the gap, and it's going to be for Capsey's played a few of those. She's played a couple of lovely little ramps off the pace to go up and over short fine, and she's unfurled 3 or 4 reverse sweeps now. She's incredibly tricky to bowl at. She's eyeing up 3 figures. Surrey are going very well indeed. They're 222 for 2 with 13 overs remain. It's time for me to leave, and Cameron Ponsonby to pause the stuffing of skin-on fries into his face while I take over that baton.
It's a great shot to have in your locker, because there's a really good over from Katie Levick. 3 singles from the first 5 balls in the over. The last ball of the over was a good ball as well, but Capsey was able to manipulate the ball behind backward point. No protection on that part of the ground, deep on the offside. Picks up 4, moved to 79 not out, which is a big moment for Alice Capsey, because that is her highest score in list day cricket, 50 over cricket, both England and domestically. Talked earlier about how she's not played a lot of professional 50 over cricket, simultaneously inexperienced international, but someone who's inexperienced in 50 over cricket. Just 18 games in the 50 over format during the regional era. Didn't play at all in 2024. With England, hasn't really had a clear role in 50 over cricket, but here in the plush position of 3, really laying down a marker.
Beautifully driven by Dunkley. Will she get 4? She will get 4. 2 despairing dives, not enough to cut the ball off. 4 more for Dunkley. Now, I know you guys have already gone over this, but I've only just seen this note. I'm just going to have a little look at the replay first. And I feel very vindicated at this. Watch here. Fast hands from Dunkley. She's had
Brilliant shot.
a quite distinct technique change over the winter. It was almost a binary change. She moved her hands closer together on the bat. Slap down the ground. Fielded at mid-on. Still just seeing the replay there. There's one dot ball that you missed, but I promise you it wasn't too much to write home about. We've had a lovely note from the ground staff. Again, apologise, you've heard this before. Listeners have heard this before. It's City end and Beckenham end. I was correct. I was right. I'm very happy about that. So, deepest apologies to Kirsty. But it's fine. It's a lovely shot by Dunkley. She's accessed that pocket to the right of backward point. Oh, it was a fantastic throw by Leah Dobson, still patrolling that boundary out in the deep.
She's been very busy on that side of the ground. Really interesting challenge now for Phoebe Turner is that she's operated with this field for a lot of the innings, where she has a lot of protection behind square and just in front, so very little straight. Sorry, haven't really taken her on straight yet, but
driven 4 more.
There we go. That's exactly what I was talking about. Just very little protection straight. No one is straighter than deep mid wicket. So if Dunkley can get the ball through the infield when it's slightly fuller, with this rapid outfield, she's going to get 4.
That's the 150 partnership between this pair. No, and you're correct. It probably speaks to Dunkley's thought process in advancing down the wicket. If she's able to make those deliveries fuller, it's easier to access that straight boundary. So 10 runs off the over so far, 1 to come. A drop and run to finish. At the end of the 38th over, the score is 233. I promise it will tick over for 2.
Well, a really good over for Surrey. 11 runs from it, and didn't really feel like they were taking anything that felt like a big risk. Runs coming freely. It's been very difficult for Durham to control the scoring rate today off the seamers. Just seen Maddie Villiers complete a very economical spell, given the conditions, given how good this pitch is, given the dimensions of the boundary and how quick the outfield is. She bowled 10 overs, none for 49. Katie Levick is going at under 5 runs and over. Catherine Fraser just above 5 and over, but it's not been the same story for the Durham Seamers. Abby Glenn's gone at nearly 9s. Sophia Turner's gone at nearly 9s. And Phoebe Turner, who's been the pick of the seamers, has gone at just under 7 runs and over.
We have a change of bowling from the City end. Sophia Turner is back into the action. She's coming on for Katie Levick. If you're wanted an update from Daniel Norcross's lunch negotiations, where he was trying to get more place nuggets at the expense of some chips, he's returned with lots of place nuggets, lots of sausages, and very few chips. Actually, I've said that in the wrong order, but more to the point, he's got loads of food. He's very pleased with himself. He's very smug. Sophia Turner running in. It's a little change up. Surrey will take on Emma Marlowe's arm on the boundary. Another well judged run from Capsey. This is proving to be a very important and crucial innings from Capsey, and also a continuation of starting the season very well. She got a start in the first game against Somerset, 50 against Hampshire, and for all her talent, everyone knows how incredibly talented Alice Capsey is. She hasn't quite got the weight of runs behind her that one would hope or expect this time. She's proving her class here though.
Yeah, I think you're completely right, but the point I always make with Capsey is people forget how young she is. She is still only 20.
Sure.
And also, I think we can say this with a bit more confidence now. I don't think she's been managed very well. She's not played enough 50 over cricket for someone who's played 23 ODIs. She's not been given a clear role. She's not played much domestic 50 over cricket before this year.
Chipped into the air, this should be out. Fielder circling underneath it. That is held by Susie Bates, and a very fine innings from Alice Capsey comes to an end. A crucial breakthrough for Durham, completely against the run of play. Capsey looked wonderful for a 79, but 79 is all it will be. Durham take their third wicket with the score at 236.
Yeah, wonderful innings from Alice Capsey. 79 off 66 deliveries. Was able to score freely throughout the innings, and she's undone there by Sophia Turner, who's taken the pace off the ball in her return to the attack. It ends a wonderful partnership between Dunkley and Capsey. 155 rather in quick time. It's put Surrey in an awesome position heading into the tail end of this innings.
Well, we have a change in the batting order. It's the same as Surrey did in their last match here in Beckenham. They've promoted Alice Monaghan to number 5, so Paige Schofield and Alice Davidson-Richards shuffle down. It didn't work last time. This time last week, Monaghan got a duck, but she did get 40 down at... Well, keep on. The Aegeus Bowl, the Rose Bowl, is the Utilita Bowl now. We've got a new name for Hampshire's ground. I imagine she's been promoted here with a license to thrill.
Yeah, if you don't have a license to go now, I don't think you ever will. 11.5 overs left in the Surrey innings, 7 wickets remaining, and there's a lot of batting to come. Still have Alice Davidson-Richards, Paige Schofield, Clearmore. Lot of batting to come for Surrey.
Been really impressed by Monaghan this season. She bowled brilliantly well, I thought, this time last week against Somerset without reward, and batted very well over the weekend as well. A fine young all-rounder. Dunkley scampers through for a single. That's well run by Surrey. Will trickle down to short third, and Dunkley running to the danger end. Made her mind up and made it quickly. Monaghan is off the mark.
Yeah, very good return to the attack with Sophia Turner. Seamers have really struggled today to control the run scoring. Operating with a very, very different feel to what Phoebe Turner's been bowling with. Lots of protection in front of square. Taking the pace off, and I think that's the way she's going to go. Very hard to manipulate the ball behind square of the wicket when Turner is taking the pace off. As a result, all the protection is straight. Long on back, deep mid wicket, deep extra cover.
Another change up from Turner. Back of the hand slur ball, short of a length, and Monaghan takes a single out to deep point. And at the end of the 39th, with 11 overs to go, Surrey are well placed on 239 for 3.
Yeah, Dunkley now 81 not out, 19 runs short of reaching 3 figures. Excellent record here at Beckenham.
I'm just checking my Cricketers Who's Who. I love the Cricketers Who's Who. I love just silly questions. They get a variety of strange and silly and often quite dull answers. But the reason I was searching for it in my bag just now, see Sophia Dunkley now on 81. She's got 6 list A centuries going into this season. An average of 34.8, so she's 19 runs away from a 7th. If she could pinch any player from any other team in the circuit, it'd be Grace Scrivens. There you go. Any fun facts, come to me. Playing a miss from Monaghan.
Yeah,
Turners from both ends at the moment.
but both teamers, but both doing very different things. Did you see how Phoebe goes with pace on, because her field reflects that she will be bowling pace on. There's a lot of protection behind square at the moment. A good start from Phoebe Turner. Beats Monaghan first up.
Driven for a dot ball.
Real show of confidence from the Surrey hierarchy to promote Monaghan in this situation, given the batting they do have. Paige Schofield in particular, I think, is someone who we might see in England's first team at some point this summer. Decent record in shorter form cricket as well, in the 100. Probably the standout batter on England's A tour of Australia. Only concluded a month or so ago.
We have some more trivia. Pointless trivia, as described by Hypercourse themselves. Susie Bates' catch to dismiss Alice Capsey was her 428th catch in all formats. That is so many. I'm pretty sure she took her 400th during the T20 World Cup, but there was a stat to that effect. Short, pulls. Dunkley throws her head back in frustration, finding the other Turner, who does the fielding on the boundary rope.
Yeah, it's a good little spell here for Durham. Just 6 runs off the previous over, 2 runs off the first 4 in this one.
We just saw a very frightened Phoebe Turner. The ball was thrown in miles away from her. She was perfectly safe, but she got a call of heads. Ducked very quickly.
And this is the challenge for Monaghan. If Turner bowls the ball, I guess, on a length, can she attack Phoebe Turner straight? We saw in Phoebe Turner's last over, Dunkley get 2 boundaries in between extra cover and mid-off. That's where the space is to attack. Can Monaghan attack those areas of the field with the extra pace and bouts of Turner?
Playing a miss to finish the 40th over. There's 10 overs remaining. Very fine over from Phoebe Turner there. Just 2 runs off it. Surrey 241 for 3 of 40. Monaghan on 3 of 7 deliveries. Sophia Dunkley on 82 off 87.
Yeah, not only a useful 3 overs, or 2 overs in their own right for Durham, but also quite useful in terms of how they're going to manage the rest of the innings, because up until this point it's been really tough for the seamers to exert any sort of control. That both Turners have put in effective overs back to back gives Holly Armitage a few more options going into the final 10. 241 for 3.
Bowling figures illustrate your point here. Both the seamers, all the 3 seamers that have bowled, are far more expensive than the spinners. Sophia Turner bowls full of a length, finds Armitage on the ring.
Well, that's a shot that she's had a lot of joy from today, but Sophia Turner taking pace off has been difficult to hit.
Well, we effectively have a spinner's field here.
Yeah, exactly.
We have short fine leg, short third, backward point, square leg, and all the fielders out on the boundary rope are in front of square, and well in front of square. Dunkley hacks the ball away into the leg side. Surrey decide to go for 2. It's well run again by Monaghan. Surrey have really, on 4 or 5 occasions, they've taken runs, succeeded, and I've left them going, was that a good run? I suppose it is, they got it.
Quite interesting here from Sophia Turner. It's quite similar actually to what Alice Davidson-Richards did with the ball last Wednesday here.
They're going to look for 2 again. The ball spins away from Marlowe on the boundary fence. They come back comfortably.
Where there's not a lot of deception in what the seamer's doing, because the field sort of says what the plan is, and that's taking pace off. You can try and hit the ball straight, but there's loads of protection there, and Alice Davidson-Richards did a similar thing where she sort of bowled into the pitch with loads of leg side protection.
Driven, beats Armitage to her left, and that is the gap in the field. Dunkley moves on to 90. She's batting beautifully well now. Now it's call and response cricket out there. Durham are letting Dunkley and Surrey know exactly what their plan is, and it's a case of, can you be good enough to defeat it?
It's exactly it. My point was, it's not about deception, it's about execution. And Dunkley stuck to her guns there. Found the fielder a couple of times off Sophia Turner, but she backed herself to keep doing what she wants to do, and that eventually she'll find her rewards.
Now she drops it into the leg side. Could they scamper 2? No, not interested. Just the 1. 250 comes up for Surrey. 9 overs and 1 delivery remaining. I think they are very well placed to push on past 300, especially with Schofield and Davidson-Richards still to come. It's probably a free hit for Monaghan here. They want evens, keep Dunkley on strike. Well, Monaghan sets off for a run. Dunkley was not interested in it at all, but it did just trickle past Turner. She throws her head back in frustration. 11, 12 runs even off the over. I think that's incorrect. I think my math has gone wrong there. Either way, I can tell you for a fact it is 251 for 3 after 41.
Yeah, interesting to see what Monaghan's exact role is here. 4 off 8. I think from how Sophia Dunkley played the last 2 balls of the over, you get the sense that Dunkley, who's seeing it like a beach ball, wants to face as many deliveries as she can. So is Monaghan's role to get down the other end, or is it to show off her power when she gets the opportunity?
Well, Wasp has the score up at 334. That'll be another 83 runs in the final 9 overs, which my 9 times table tells me is a smidge over 9 and over. Whipped into the leg side. They trot through for a single.
Yeah, again, you can tell in Dunkley's body language there that at no point did she ever consider the possibility of running 2.
She was happy to stay at that end. Right, let's see if what changed in the field we have. We have short third coming into the ring, so third's coming up to the 25-yard circle. As a result, mid-wicket has dropped out into the boundary, but mid-on and mid-off are up. So you'd have good money on Dunkley advancing down the wicket here again and looking to play straight. She stays in her crease and tucks it into the leg side behind square. You can't be right every time. There's also an element of whether Phoebe Turner is Durham's kind of premier bowler, or has been this season. She's got 10 deliveries left. If you can take those for 10 runs, 8 to 12 runs, and shake hands and move on to the rest. Driven. Takes a thick outside edge, and that could run away to the boundary. We've seen balls disappear down in that direction throughout the innings. Just a bit of width on offer from Turner, and Monaghan's able to throw her hands through the ball, lift it over backward point, and that's 4.
Yeah, a bit of width from Phoebe Turner, and Monaghan did really well to, I suppose, get the direction right in that shot, because there was a deep third in place, relatively fine. Had to make sure that the ball was elevated enough to go above backward point.
Just comes off the outside of Monaghan's pads, and Bess Heath is unable to gather cleanly. They scamper through for a leg by. Got two international cricketers, two former international cricketers out in the middle umpiring. One is James Treadwell, who's just going to come into shot now. Another is Rose Dovey, who used to play for Sri Lanka. Skips down the wicket. Leah Dobson's in action again and caught. 3 out of 3 for Dobson, and Dunkley's innings comes agonisingly short of a 7th list day century. She can't believe it. I'm not sure I can believe it. And that is a crucial wicket for Durham at a very opportune time.
Yeah, Phoebe Turner rewarded for her perseverance, really, charging in, hitting the pitch hard, just back of a length. Dunkley, a couple of deliveries left in the over, still went for the aggressive option. And ends a brilliant innings from Sophia Dunkley. Finishes 92 off 94, but showed real acceleration in the last 5 or so overs. 27 off the last 18 deliveries at the crease. And Leah Dobson's been busy on that side of the ground, and you can see why Durham trust her. 3 excellent catches in the D.
Well, it's weird because teams often talk about having your fielders in the high traffic areas, the kind of deep cover points. Yes, you're busy, but you're normally busy on the ground. Whereas both Danny White-Hodge and Sophia Dunkley have slapped short balls out to that fielder on the edge. I honestly couldn't tell you right now how comfortable Surrey would be feeling with their total. We've had 4 wickets fall in 41.5 overs, 3 of which have been caught on the boundary. Capsey was caught in the ring. There hasn't been an inkling of kind of slips being played or people nicking off, or in effect people missing the ball. So I think Surrey will want to be pushing up above 300 and wanting all of those runs possible, especially if Susie Bates and Holly Armitage are 2 of the top 3 in reply. Davison Richards on strike. Well, there we do have a play and miss, and that's a very fine over for Durham. At the end of the 42nd, Surrey are 258 for 4.
Yeah, just 7 runs off that over from Phoebe Turner, which from Durham's point of view, they'll definitely take at this stage of the innings. Just a reminder, however good the pitch is, however quick the outfield is, it is always difficult to start an innings and go from ball, and I think that's a massively underappreciated element of death over batting. And just to illustrate that actually in the last 5 overs, Surrey have been going at 8 and over, which is pretty much what they were doing in the 5 overs before that. In this spell, they've lost 2 wickets. Capsey and Dunkley, the 2 set batters, have departed. So it's going to be a real test for the Surrey batters. Obviously in a good position, but Katie Levitt comes on now with 3 overs remaining in the innings. Can they start aggressively against the spin, having not faced spin up until this point in their respective innings?
Well, change of bowling. Katie Levitt returns from the City end. That's well bowled. I think again they can go to this, well, I've called it call and response cricket. I don't even know if that makes sense. But they have all their fielders out on the boundary in front of square. They'll bowl slowly on a length. Swept. Dobson once again interested, but it's over her and it's 6. Monaghan gets all of it, just about. She takes on Katie Levitt and gets full reward.
Yeah, it's a great strike for Monaghan. Tossed up, full delivery, and Monaghan targets the long side of the ground. That's probably the longest boundary out here today. Absolutely nails it. Direction-wise, it's to Dobson, who we know
Sweeps again. This time she'll get just the one. I believe it's actually Maddie Villiers who that went over and who's been fielded at deep mid-wicket. I've got so used to just saying Dobson.
Yeah, I think Dobson
everywhere.
is now at deep square leg.
I'll get her to deep mid-wicket. Right, Davidson Richards.
Still changing the field here. Mid-wicket's gone to extra cover, so we now have 4 fielders in the ring on the offside and no one in front of square in the ring on the leg side. So there is one there if Surrey want it, as Monaghan does on that occasion.
I think that's quite a compliment to Davidson Richards there, just effectively giving up a single to the leg side. Monaghan goes to the reverse. That's wonderful batting. Proving why she was moved up the order to number 5, sweeping both sides of the wicket. Slog sweeping over deep mid-wicket, and reverse dabbing behind short third.
Yeah, and to do it in her first over facing spin as well. Again, not a lot wrong with that delivery. She was in trouble if she didn't get connection on that. Full and straight from Katie Levick. And Monaghan able to get that past backward point.
And she rolls her wrists on the final delivery. Can they come back for 2? Davidson Richards says no. Monaghan keeps the strike. And at the end of the 43rd, the score is 271 for 4. And would you believe it? Surrey, we have not even seen Paige Schofield yet.
Much better over for Surrey. 13 runs from it after a couple of good overs for Durham. I wonder if that changes the plan for Durham at all. Sophia Turner and Phoebe Turner going well at the moment. Phoebe Turner into her last. It's a good spell this from Phoebe Turner. 3 overs, 1 for 19 since she was brought back into the attack. And given the stage of the innings, given the conditions, that's a serious effort at the death against a Surrey side that's very well set.
I was trying to go through the scorecard and count up how many bowling changes we've had. I kept on losing count, but it's been a lot. Just flicks the pad. Marlowe thinks about throwing it, thinks better of it, and it's a leg bye. I'm going to try again.
Wow,
You
I wonder.
talk for a bit, and I'll get back to you.
Slightly different field for the 2 Surrey batters. For Monaghan, fine leg was in the ring, goes back for Alice Davidson Richards.
Driven through mid wickets, remarkable shot from Davidson Richards. The misfield from Maddie Villiers. You can't really be blamed for it. It's quite a hard outfield at the moment, bobbling around when trying to pick it up cleanly. Allows Surrey to come back for 2. That reminds me of a shot Davidson Richards played last week. Well, I said she pulled the ball over mid-wicket for a 6, but she didn't really. She kind of back foot drove it. It's a remarkable bat plane, which I can't quite understand the biomechanics of.
That's the length that Phoebe Turner's had quite a lot of success with today. Just back of the length. And she's got enough pace and bounce that makes it quite hard to pull and cut. She's also been very tidy with her lines, because you offer a little bit of width to a ball that length, you can be in trouble.
Chipped, but it'll be safe. It allows Davidson Richards to scamper through. Susie Bates with the freestyle fielding. Goes behind the back throw.
Doesn't surprise you that she's an Olympic basketball player.
Of course. Yes, this is pub quiz trivia, which I'm ready for, because it's not just her. Sophie Devine as well, Devine even. So Sophie Devine played New Zealand hockey. Susie Bates played New Zealand basketball. Cut away. That's a wonderful shot. Monaghan's only going to get a single for that. That ball was effectively on 4th stump, if not even tighter to the stumps. She's leant back and run the ball down to deep third. She's playing a little gem here. 22 off 18, 23 off 19 when the scoreboard ticks over. I beg your pardon, I thought it was the end of the over. We have 1 ball remaining, so Monaghan is on 22. And Phoebe Turner will bowl her 60th and final delivery to Davidson Richards. Clipped out to deep square leg. And that brings an end to Turner's fine spell. She finishes with 2 for 58. Fine value for it. And at the end of the 44th over with 6 remaining, Surrey are 277 for 4.
Yeah, an outstanding spell from Phoebe Turner to go run a ball as a seamer in these conditions is a really good effort. She's been the most challenging of the Durham seamers, hitting the splice of the bat, one with good pace, good energy. and held her own at the death as well. Another bowling change for you, Cam. This time, Sophia Turner into the attack. Katie Levick just given 1 over back from the City end.
They have a rule up in Durham. There must be a Turner bowling at all times.
Or Ashton.
My point exactly. Get him down here.
Interesting to see what the field will be. So, as we were saying a few moments ago, Sophia Turner's generally tried to take the pace off. Mid off an extra cover in the ring.
Buns it out to the leg side. So in effect, this is where the difference in the field to Monaghan was than it was to Dunkley. For Dunkley, that mid-off was out of the circle, and they basically had extra cover, deep mid-wicket, long on, long off, out of the ring, and saying we're going to go pace off, do what you can. Whereas against the two batters that are new to the crease, they're giving them that challenge of hitting straight. Monaghan on strike now. She's able to get down and swivel sweep that out to deep square leg. And that's well fielded
by Dobson.
Of course it's Dobson. Normal service resumes. I was furious when someone else was trying to field the ball on that boundary edge.
Yeah, really good connection, that shot from Monaghan, but straight to Dobson in the deep.
Hit down the ground, should be caught by long on, isn't, because it's gone for 6. For a moment it looked like the fielder is in on the game, and Alice Davison-Richards clenches her heart in kind of faux surprise, thinking that her innings had come to an end, but it just sneaks over the fielder.
Yeah, back of the hand slower ball from Sophia Turner. Davison-Richards got a good connection, but a not totally clean one. Abby Glenn at long on, charging in off the rope.
Swings again.
Glenn into the action again, and I wonder if she stayed on the rope. She started and stayed on the rope. Is that potentially catchable?
I think she didn't have a chance.
Yeah,
I think it was just. I think if she'd grown a foot in the space of half a second, she'd have been all right. It was struck powerfully,
but really tough on Sophia Turner, who got a decent slow ball there.
Slow ball once again. Is it over mid-off? Yes. 4 more. Monaghan's fine hand continues. She moves on to 27 off 20. Despairing dive by Susie Bates there at mid-off. And that is the game. That is literally the kind of tactics that both teams are pursuing here. Turner's going full slow, encouraging them to try and hit over the ring, hit over the top. And so far this over, both Monaghan and Davison-Richards have been up to task just. She's able to pull that away. That's in the gap. That could be 4. And it is 4. Fantastic over for Surrey. 17 runs off it. You've got to feel for Sophia Turner here a little bit. I don't think she's done too much wrong across the over. Monaghan's so quick to pick up that length.
Yeah, she's not only quick to pick up that length, but she rocks so far back in the crease, and it looks like a relatively short ball, but it's made to look shorter by Monaghan's footwork. And again, really good shot placement. Absolutely nailing it, but nailing it directly between the two fielders, deep on the leg side boundary. Change of ends for Katie Levick.
Which means another change of bowler. It's been wonderful work from Armitage, who, well, aside from that slight misstep from Durham as a whole, where we believe Maddie Villiers was no balled for one too many fielders outside the circle, Armitage has been well aware of how difficult bowling conditions are out there and how many runs are on offer. And while the score might be 294 for 4, I don't think Durham could have done too much more, been more proactive to keep that as low as possible. Rogue trip from Levick to flex the ball away, allows Davison-Richards to get a single. Made a horrible noise off the bottom of her foot. That sounded quite painful.
Sounded quite bony.
Right. Long on, deep mid-wicket. I reckon Monaghan's about to take both of them on. Deep square legs being moved further behind square. Maddie Villiers at deep mid wicket becomes moved a touch to her right as well. Cuts. That's intercepted.
Yeah, she'll feel like she missed out there. Again, really quick footwork, but there's no protection square on the offside boundary, so you get that through the infield, it will race down the hill for 4.
Have it coming round the wicket as well. That is not out. Pitching outside leg stump.
The other thing that Levick has to contend with from bowling from the Beckenham end is there's a slightly shorter leg side boundary, so it's less big of a hit for the right-handers towards the leg side.
Swept. Will Villiers get there in time? She does. Cleans up tidily. It's a real game of chicken, this. Bowling leg spin round the wicket. Well, we'll see if she stays put for Davis Richards. Comes back over the wicket.
What do you think the thinking is when she was bowling around the wicket?
Nailed straight. That's 4. Davidson Richards has hit that so cleanly. That's perfect batting. Perfect batting that brings up the 300 for Surrey, still with 25 balls of this innings remaining. Just a couple of steps down the ground.
She's absolutely nailed that. That's probably the best hit shot of the day so far.
That's one of the worst. Little bunt into the leg side.
Still picks up 1.
Absolutely.
It's a decent over for Durham, actually. Despite that boundary, just 7 runs from it. So yeah, talk me through, what do you think Levitt was trying to do when she moved between bowling over the wicket to around the wicket to over the wicket? Or is it just mixing things up at this stage of the innings, keeping the batters guessing when they're well set, when they're going really nicely?
Well, it's keeping me guessing. 4 overs to go, 301 for 4. All I could think of really is it was a game of chicken. They've got all the fielders out on the leg side. If you kind of just keep it out of their kind of step hit zone, to use the modern parlance, kind of reaching for the ball, and you had those 4 fielders in a ring on the offside, ready to pick up and catch any top edges. With another change of bowling, Abby Glenn back into the attack. Just bowled the 5 overs so far. Davidson Richards on strike. Wasp all the way up at 344. Sorry, I'd be delighted if they get there. With a little false start. I wonder if we're just able to get the side on view of where Davidson Richards is standing in her crease to the seamers. Both feet inside the crease. She's basically treading on her stumps. Little shuffle. That's to the right of long on. And it splits long on and mid wicket. 4 more.
Yeah, talk us through what a batter gains from being that deep in the creases. That gives them a bit more time to react to the ball, a bit more leverage to get underneath it.
Your second point is correct. It's there you can see the shot there. Both feet well inside the crease. It's almost a tape ball stance. Where you're trying to get, as you said, underneath the ball. Bunted out to deep mid wicket. So when you're standing in your regular crease and you're playing your regular cover drive, the idea is you're getting on top of the ball because you're closer to the pitch. As you're able to lean, get your head over the ball, all the kind of coaching cliches. Davidson Richards is trying to do the opposite here. She wants to get underneath it. She wants to kind of almost not have her weight back per se, but more back than it would be if she was trying to crunch it through the covers on the carpet. Monaghan goes for the scoop, and she's going to be out. It was a fantastically well executed shot, but unfortunately just not enough pace on the ball to clear the fielder. And Durham pick up their 5th wicket.
Yeah, exactly that. The shot was on if there was pace on the ball. Fine leg and third were in the ring. And even though that Monaghan got a decent connection, there wasn't enough pace on it. Pace off from Glenn, and all Monaghan can do is scoop it up. 2 short fine leg, and Durham have a welcome 5th wicket. Phoebe Turner the fielder on this occasion.
I think Surrey's changed the batting lineup. Shunting Monaghan up to 5 has worked. 32 of 25 is a very fine innings, especially when you consider she's on 3 off 7 at one stage. It does mean that Paige Schofield, who, as you mentioned earlier today, who was the star batter of the England A Tour to Australia, that concluded only a month or so ago, comes to the wicket with just 3.5 overs remaining. I think Surrey will still be in pursuit of 340, give or take. See the scorecard there. Every batter in double figures. No dismissed batter for less than 30 so far. Now we have the same field as we had for Monaghan. Scholefield's underway immediately.
Yes, some player to have coming in at number 7. International batter, one of the most highly rated batters in the English game at the moment.
Davison Richard hacks the ball into the leg side, and Scholefield's quick. Will be able to turn for 2. It's wicketkeeper's end. Well fielded out on the fence by Maddie Villiers.
She's got a really good arm, Villiers.
She's entered into our conversation of best fielders in the domestic game, which we started last week. Nominations have been Alice Monaghan, Katie George, Lindsay Smith, and now Maddie Villiers. And that has gone up in the air and will fall safe. Davis Richards benefiting from kind of striking the ball so uncleanly. Didn't quite have the distance to reach long on. As a result, it's a single, and at the end of the 47th over, Surrey are 310 for 5, and Davidson Richards is flying on 27 of 16.
Yeah, both Davidson, Richards and Monaghan pace their innings well. They didn't get too greedy early on in their first 7 or 8 balls, but once they got their eye in, and they got their eyes in quickly, they've really put their foot to the floor and scored at a really healthy rate. Davidson Richards striking in excess of 160, and she's got the strike again at the start of the 48th.
Skips down the ground. It's a real strong point of Davidson Richards' game. Both her and Dunkley, their use of feet against the spin and seam. Just the one run this time. Levick stays over the wicket. Schofield ready to face her second delivery. Very full toss in fact. That's one more run.
I think a sign there of Schofield being aware of what her job is at this point in her innings. Just one ball in, get off strike, give the strike to Davidson Richards, who's seeing it so well.
It's a fantastic over from Levick so far. 3 balls, 3 singles. He's just finding that kind of half volley length, but in a good way.
Yeah, hard to get under. We were talking about Davidson Richards getting right back in her crease in the previous over.
That's cut. Could be caught. Dropped. A flying effort at cover. And Schofield survives. Saving grace for Durham is the pace taken off the ball by the fielder has resulted in the ball not travelling to the boundary. Schofield just getting 2.
Got bad news for you, Cam.
Bad news for me?
That was Dobson.
Was it Dobson? No. That was a genuine reaction of pain that came out of me. I don't normally make those noises on a professional broadcast.
Well, Dobson's been the star for Durham in the field today, but dropped catch on that occasion. Difficult catch, would have been a great one if she kept hold of the ball.
She was on the boundary. Why wasn't she on the boundary again?
but either way, it's a
Struck down the ground and into the gap. And Davison Richards, she batted so well here at Beckenham last week, but she's continuing in her fine form. It's a cruel end to Levick's spell to go for 4. See a replay there, well fielded on the boundary's edge.
Well, I was literally about to say before that ball, despite the drop catch, it had been a very good over from Katie Levick, but that last ball was that length we talked about earlier, just not quite full enough to make it difficult to get underneath. And Davison Richards used her feet, didn't quite get to the pitch of the ball, but it meant that she was able to get decent elevation, able to really get her arms through the ball.
Well, 2 overs remain. The score is 320 for 5. Alice Davison Richards, she's been in quite phenomenal regional / domestic cricket form. I'll going back to September last year. But her final 4 innings for South East Stars were 70, 79, 90 not out, 93. She started this season with an unbeaten 57, just the 19 last week on Sunday. Scoville bunts that into the leg side. She might get 4 there, split the fielders, and she does. I don't think at any point after making connection with that she thought she'd be getting full value. But precision trumps power.
Yeah, full toss from Glenn, and though Schofield finds a boundary, it's not necessarily that clean a connection. Another sign of just how quick this outfield is. You get that ball racing on the carpet, it will fly. And Schofield, first boundary of her innings, 9 off 5, 4 runs already in this over. Pressure on the bowler Glenn.
That's going to be 4 more. Glenn just loses her line, drifts down to the leg side. Schofield's able to roll her wrists on the delivery and get it back past short fine leg.
That's exactly it. The protection on the boundary is deep on the leg side. No one behind square on the leg side boundary. And as you say, Schofield rolls her wrist on the ball, almost like a hockey shot, to get the ball behind square to the boundary for 4.
Scooped up by Holly Armitage.
Yeah, good from Glenn in the block hole, and good from her skipper at extra cover, preventing the ball from reaching the field in the deep. It's a very good start to the over for Surrey. 9 off 3. Over to Davison Richards, who's deep in her crease again.
That's hoiked up into the air. It's going to fall short again, and it almost fell so short that they were able to turn back for 2. So just the single. Davison Richards practicing almost golf swing. Or just get under the ball and away. Do you want another fun fact from the Cricketers Who's Who?
Yes.
So Davison Richards was Freya Davies, who just recently got married. It's a beautiful shot. She'll only get 1 run for that Schofield. Gave herself room. She was her maid of honour. The things you learn from the little blue book. And so she would name her as the opponent she was most looking forward to face. Davison Richards, if it was even possible, was even deeper in her crease. Just takes the toe end.
Good comeback from Glenn in the over after going for back-to-back boundary to start off the penultimate over. Responds with 4 runs off the last 4 balls of the 49th over.
So the score is 3-3-2 for 5 even, beg your pardon. We have 6 deliveries remaining. The last over coming to you from the Beckenham end. And it'll be one final change of bowlings to finish proceedings. It wouldn't be right to have had it any other way. And we're going to have the first over of the innings for Susie Bates. I believe I'm going to need to get this up now. Susie Bates didn't bowl a single over in the Women's World Cup in 2024, the victorious Women's World Cup for New Zealand, until the semi-final against India Oh no, beg your pardon, I'm misremembering this. I'm going to look it up. But it was at Sharjah and it was very exciting. She rose to the occasion, taking a very important wicket. She has bowled, she has 1 wicket this season. She's going to bowl round the wicket to Davidson Richards. Clears her front leg. 1 bounce over the rope. And that is 4 runs. Davidson Richards moves on to 39 off 22.
Yeah, it's a really good shot again. Davidson Richards showing off her power. It's that length that she's really enjoyed today. Just short of a half volley, length that she creates from where she's standing so deep in her crease.
She goes again. She might have found the gap again. That's fantastically well fielded. Out there by our favourite cricketer of the day, Leah Dobson.
She's had to work so hard today.
Here we go. Susie Bates have got 4 balls to tell you this fascinating fact. Just having a play around with the field. Here we go. Against West Indies at Sharjah. The only over of the entire competition in the semi-final that she bowled, and it was the 20th and final over to close out victory. It's a fantastic shot from Schofield. It sounded good. I can't see where it's gone until it's landed just in front of us for 6 runs. I gambled on the sound there. It sounded like it was 6, and it's only just dropped over the rope. This final over experiment with Bates not going well so far. 4 single 6.
Yeah, quicker and slingier from Bates, but Schofield equal to it.
And that's out. Schofield's very fine cameo comes to an end. 21 off 10. See here on the replay, stumped by Bess Heath.
Yeah, you could see what Schofield was doing. Minimal protection on the offside. Tries to give herself room to access that offside, but Bates saw it coming, fired the ball well wide of Schofield, and Heath completes a tidy piece of work behind the stumps. Okay, only 10 balls, but an effective innings from Paige Schofield, 21 off 10. Sorry, 3 4 3 for 6 with 2 balls remaining in the innings.
And it's Kira Chatley who's given the unenviable task of batting for just 2 deliveries. What do you reckon your game is here? Try and get 1 and get Davidson Richards back on strike, or swing for the hills?
It's a good question. I think you just play the ball on its merit.
Just play the game, do some batting. I wouldn't be too surprised if Chatley brought the reverse sweep out first delivery. We saw she batted very well here last week, with Bates using that angle across. Yes, there's protection in the ring. Davidson Richards sets off straight away. They might be able to sneak a single, and if it beats the fielders, it will be 4. Fielders in the deep on the leg side shuffle round squarer. She goes to the sweep. She's going to get 4.
That's a great shot. Great shot from Kira Chatley. It's a sign of Surrey's strength that their number 8 is someone who averaged 50 in the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy.
That's a fantastic stat.
In 2024, at a strike rate of around 90 as well. So serious batting depth for Surrey. And there's the answer to your question in terms of how Kira Chatley is going to play it. Boundary first ball, 1 ball remaining in the Surrey innings.
She goes again. They're going to scamper through for a single. Bates has broken the stumps with her arm, and so that will be the end of that. And so the innings comes to a close. The score that Surrey finished on is 348 for 6. Davidson Richards finishing unbeaten on 40. Kira Chatley, a little average booster, 5 off 2. And all in all, Surrey will be very pleased with their 50 overs of work. Durham won't fill out of it though. There's a lot of runs out here. It's an incredibly quick outfield. There's no demons in the wicket. All 6 wickets that fell were as a result of aggression rather than batters being pinned back. 30 minutes before the match resumes. I'll take you through the scorecards, both batting and bowling. Yaz, hold that thought. We'll have a look at the match summary. Sophia Dunkley top scored for Surrey of 92 off 94 deliveries, just falling short what would have been a 7th list day century. Alice Capsey looked in as fine form as her fellow England teammate. She made 79. Davison Richards' fine domestic form continues with an unbeaten 40. 2 innings at this ground this season. She's yet to be dismissed. 97 unbeaten runs so far. And Bryony Smith, who's had a slightly difficult start to the season, will be feeling better for making 36. Phoebe Turner was the standout bowler for Durham once again. She's the top wicket taker in the competition. Now her tally stands at 9. The scorecard there. Paige Schofield, the only batter to be dismissed below the score of 30, and she can be forgiven for that because she was dismissed in a late show of aggression in the final over. Susie Bates came on to bowl. All her teammates contributing in their own ways. Alice Monaghan as well, fantastic in her 25 balls for 32. Quick glance at the bowling figures, a point that Yaz has made throughout the day. Maddie Villiers and Katie Levick, well, by the end of proceedings, spin and seam, it kind of evened out a little bit. There was a period where spin looked far harder to get away than seam. But Phoebe Turner and Maddie Villiers, the 2 stand-up performers for Durham. 2 for 58 for Turner, none for 49, but a very fine none for Maddie Villiers. Yaz, your thoughts before we go to the break?
I just thought it was a very well-paced 50-over innings from Surrey as a steady start, and then they lost those 2 wickets as they looked to accelerate after the power play, and the innings was really all about Alice Capsey and Sophia Dunkley. They managed to score at a good rate, but in a relatively risk-free way, and they established an almighty base for Alice Davidson Richards, Alice Monaghan to really accelerate towards the end, and that is exactly what they did. So, saw some really good cameos from the Surrey lower middle order. For me, even though she wasn't quite top scorer today, Capsey was the star player. 79 off 66, 11 boundaries, and she just found that cruise tempo, the cruise speed of her innings, and she was destructive, but also managed to be destructive whilst having control over the Surrey innings. So outstanding effort from the Surrey batting lineup. It's a star-studded Surrey batting lineup, but as Cam, you say, the conditions could not be better for batting. The pitch is good, no demons in it, relatively short boundaries, and it's a rapid outfield. It's going to be very, very difficult to defend when a batter is in, and as we've seen today, it's been particularly difficult to defend the dimensions of the ground when seam and pace has been on the ball.
Well, it's beautiful down here in Beckenham. If you are in the local area, or even if you're not in the local area, get yourself down. It's free entry. About to see a high quality run chase ahead. Surrey 348 for 6, Durham 349 to win. We'll be back in about 25 minutes with the run chase.
sandwiches, Tasco chicken, bacon and cheese barbecue. Tasco chicken, bacon and cheese with barbecue flavour. Well, that's cool. I can't believe you just said that. There's a lot of things I don't like. I love the barbecue flavour. When you have some chicken, you've got to have some barbecue sauce on the side of it.
David. Yeah, hi. How are you? Okay, very nice day. Last week. Last week. Really. And the cricket, well, much as it was outstanding last Wednesday, this is a different case.
I'd certainly hope we've covered it. Yeah, big new country this season. Didn't see you last week.
Bates is the key wicket. The key bats through.
Might see you in the games because obviously you know.
They landed at one stage for about 200 off for one. I think they caved in about 238 for the 5 or something. So Southby got 3 stumpings. Big scoring at the front again. Imagine their progress to be halted by call-ups. Cross. Gore. Emma Lamb will be calling. Well, I don't know what form she's this
Coswell and Rose Bowden. The Surrey fielding side led by captain Rana Smith. And with their side requiring 249 runs at 6.98 runs per over, the Durham opens number 7, Emma Marlowe, and number 11, Susie Bates.
She's lovely, yeah. I met her at the Oval.
She's very good.
Yeah, just in touch, yeah.
Righto. Give me the sun in a minute.
Yes! That's alright.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. There is the match summary. Surrey 348 for 6 on another glorious batting surface, but today on a glorious batting day. Alice Davidson Richards mystifyingly batting down at number 6, 40 not out from 23 at the end. She struck a couple of extraordinarily powerful blows, but the main bulk of the batting was done by Sophia Dunkley. 92 from 94 alongside Alice Capsey. They shared a 3-figure stand, Capsey making 79 from 66 after a good start from Bryony Smith and Danny Wyatt-Hodge. It's been tough for the bowlers all day, really, as it will be on this surface here in Beckenham, where the pitch doesn't offer a great deal, to put it mildly, to any of the bowlers. We did see a bit of spin with the new ball from Fraser, but after that, there wasn't a lot left. Here we go. First ball of Durham's innings, neatly and defensively played. Back at the wicket, there's no run. Georgie Heath is alongside me. Hello, Georgie.
Hello. Well, they did look mighty fine in the end. Sorry, they'll be happy with their 348. I think the only person who'd be slightly disappointed would be Sophia Dunkley missing out. It was there.
It was there.
It was there.
It was there. It was crying out for it, wasn't it? Then again, I think sort of anybody who bats on this and doesn't make a half century is a bit miffed.
Yeah, we were saying that, weren't we, about the two openers. They got themselves in and they saw out perhaps the trickiest part of the day, maybe,
Yeah,
when there was a tiny bit of turn.
Yeah, a bit of hard. They
Got
did hard
themselves
work,
in.
didn't they? Fraser bowled really beautifully with that new ball. Extracted some turn. But yes, once you're in on this, it's sort of you getting yourself out, isn't it? I mean, think about it. It's just
That's something I'm very good at.
Yeah, getting out.
Getting myself out, yes.
Yep.
It's the getting in that's the problem.
Ball wide, well taken by a diving Chatley. So, first run of the innings, I think. Or have we had one already? I don't know, because the scoreboard's not up and ready and going yet. We can see an electronic scoreboard. It's two without loss, for those of you wondering. Lovely quick over rate. Beautiful day. Everything's set up. There's a bar behind us. We're kind of living our best lives here, George.
We are actually, and the sun is also just creeping over. So
oh, you're going to get.
I'm going to get.
Oh, you're getting
yeah,
extra shin ray.
I'm getting extra shin tan,
Yeah.
which is
you.
why I turn up to work. Obviously,
Yeah. Work in inverted commas, I know. Yeah.
I bumped into someone this morning. They were like, "Oh, what are you up to today? Just hanging." I was like, "Oh no, I'm off to work at the cricket." And they were like, "It doesn't count, George. It doesn't count." I was like, "Oh, okay, fine."
Well, it really doesn't, does it? Especially not on days like this, when you're freezing cold and inside a windowless room. Thank you. I think I will acknowledge that when I did the back-to-back women's under-19 World Cup semi-finals at 2 o'clock in the morning from New Broadcasting House.
I was messaging you about these ones because I'd been in.
hard.
Yes, that's hard.
That was hard because you were there.
I was there.
You were in Malaysia,
yeah.
which, if you don't mind me saying so, I imagine was a bit easier.
It was also very damp.
It was, wasn't it?
Yes.
But India seemed to play all their games in a part of Malaysia where it didn't rain. Would that be fair to say? Because they seemed to get through all of their games.
Yeah, and
then South Africa made it to the final.
Yes. Well,
and they scored 150 runs in all the games.
I had the group that South Africa were in, and we were in Borneo. So, and then the ground had been built on the mangroves, and I was learning this, and they'd been built on mangroves, and because it hadn't been there that long, it hadn't really set, so the water just sat. It hadn't set, so the water just sat underneath.
Right. So it had nowhere to go. There was no way of drying.
Yeah, and then it would rain all the time. Like, to the point I walked back from dinner once, it was about 5 minutes, and fully looked like I'd just jumped in the water on the way home. That kind of situation.
Warm but very wet.
Yes.
End of the first over. It is 3 without loss. We'll work out what's wrong with the score. Particularly. in a while, but bear with us as well, because a splendid venue though Beckenham is. They have a fulsome scoreboard, but it is so far away that, I mean, even David Gower, with his reputed ability to be able to read the very bottom of an eye test, would struggle to see what that says. It's about 180 yards away. The manual scoreboard is away to our left and is completely invisible to us. But there is an electronic scoreboard, but unfortunately we can't move the cameraman because he's a very important part of this process, and he's standing in direct line of sight to that scoreboard. So
yeah, it's a shame really. I thought I had really good eyesight, and I can understand that says Durham women, but that's not really much to write home about, because one could gather that. But other than that,
oh well, yes, I can see that, but can you see literally any of the other names?
I think I can see the name Bates, but that's because I know it's Bates.
Oh right.
And it's about the right length, but to be honest, no.
Well, maybe what we'll ask our producer to do is every now and then just take us over to that main scoreboard. If we're going to zoom in on that scoreboard, that might help until such time as our gremlins are fixed.
Hey, you know what, Dan?
Oh yeah, what?
I can zoom in on my phone.
Oh really?
And
you've got
see
like a
it.
telescopic sight on your...
Well, it's still blurry, but I can read it.
Oh, this is brilliant.
So I can watch
technology
live through the screen and on my phone all at the same time, because I am a millennial and we're good at screens. I'm going to be like Hypercost in his little...
with his den.
Yeah, in his den.
Yeah. I reckon he does it all from a disused underground station, like near Aldwych or something. That's a great bit of fielding at mid-wicket, preventing what would have definitely been 4. There's nobody fielding out at deep mid-wicket. It's a vital dive prevents the runs. I don't know, have we been round the grounds, by the way? I'm not sure that we have.
I'm not sure we have.
Shall we do that for everybody concerned? Because it's innings break time around the country, and Lancashire's women have racked up, I think you could say racked up when you get to 292 for 6. They've racked up 292 for 6. 107 for Eve Jones and 86 for Emma Lamb. She got runs the other day.
She did, yeah.
Week. And Mahika Gore is playing in that game. She didn't play the last game, so I don't know whether she's on a kind of rest and rotation thing. Would you think? Because she's sort of slightly coming back from injury and managing her physicality.
And I think you've got to be careful as well, haven't you, with Mahika, and the injury and the age and the height, and it all contributes.
She's fragile and precious. That's a mighty shot. A beautiful straight drive, and that gives you an idea of just how blameless this pitch is. Batter's just able to trust the bounce, trust everything about this pitch, and it was a little full.
Tell you what, I would not be putting an ankle in the way of that.
No.
Because your ankle would now be sort of 20 bits of ankle.
Well, actually, there's a man next to me who's got an ankle that's 20 bits of ankle, poor thing. Yeah. He's been hobbling for 7 months. That's a long time to hobble. That's more like it, just eking that length back a touch. So yeah, Lancashire made 292 for 6. And very shortly, 2-metre Mahika will be coming into the attack. She's a kind of potential game changer for England. You know, when we talk about who might come into the England side, she's played for them before, but as a long-term prospect to go, she's about 6'3", 6'4". Swing. She had the highest top ball percentage, didn't she, at Fairbreak when we covered that tournament, and she was always bowling to the opening batters. So, oh my word, has that got away for 4 as well?
Yeah, 3 runs that. Just sat up there to be hit. You can't be bowling this to someone of the calibre of Susie Bates.
Yes, it was the ball after that ball that got crunched away. Too short and absolutely leathered. But yeah, she was forever bowling at the likes of Lauren Winfield Hill and Danny White-Hodge and Deandra Dottin. Yeah, she got her out, didn't she, really early on in one game. And what was noticeable is that bowling against the best players, there'd be the occasional 4, occasional ball go through the slips, but the highest dot ball percentage of anyone in that tournament. The third and final match to bring you is between Warwickshire, who are willing to call themselves Warwickshire, and the Blaze, who are not willing to call themselves Nottinghamshire.
I did sort of wonder if they would be Nottinghamshire Blaze, at least to be something.
Yes.
But no.
Yeah. Well, they started quite badly. Amy Jones for a first ball duck. Catherine Bryce run out first ball. That's in a really annoying way to go. But from 5 for 2, they managed to get up to 252 for 9. Good lower order resistance. And 3 wickets there for Emily Arlett, who hit 140 odd the other day, saving Warwickshire from a perilous position.
And actually,
that's another good bit of fielding in the covers, which again prevents probably a certain 4. There's no cover out on the boundary.
It was also 5,000 List A runs for Tammy Beaumont today.
Well done.
She didn't score them all today, just to clarify.
That would
what
be
day.
impressive.
Whew.
If you did that, so he's out to, what is that? Is that 100 and over? Yeah. Oof. Did a lot of no balls. Although there was a game the other day featured 61 wides in Tier 2. Down the leg side, that'll be wided.
Well, Durham are obviously without Emily Windsor.
Yes.
At the moment, who's out with injuries. She was having an operation.
I saw it on Instagram.
Yes.
Well, I say I saw it on Instagram. I don't ever look at Instagram, but
I was going to say, who are you?
No, someone sent me the link, but I can get on Instagram. I just don't know what to do when I'm there, really, except go, Emily Windsor's injured. Poor thing. I don't know what the details were there. One of our colleagues.
Bionic hip 2.0.
Bionic hip.
Oh, in the making. But in the meantime, Durham's #1 fan right here. So we're sending you all our love, Emily Windsor. I assume you're tuning in from home or your hospital bed, or.
We definitely send Emily Windsor our love.
Always. Even if she wasn't having a bionic hip.
She got the winning runs in one of the hundreds, didn't she? From memory.
She did. Playing for Oval.
And she also had an enormous partnership with Georgia Elwys in a Day game. I forget all the details, but we were commentating together the following day, and it was rather lovely. I think I, at the time, heard every single blow by blow of that partnership. Quite right too. Oh, thick edge. It'll bring 4. Certainly not where it was intended. It's notable though, isn't it, how low that kept going past the slip. There is a slip in place.
I thought Alice Davison Richards was putting in some push-ups there. I think she's just having a bit of a stretch.
Well, she didn't get to bat as long as she might have done.
No, perhaps not.
I think she left about 60, 70 runs in the tank. We'll be seeing her bowling, of course. She's been bowling at the death so far in this tournament. Full again, but Surrey's fielding in the ring has been very effective so far. End of the over. 16 without loss after 3. There is just a tiny little aperture we can get through to see that scoreboard. But maybe our producer can give us a zoom in on the main scoreboard. I don't know if that's possible.
See, I think if you're someone like Susie Bates, you'd be absolutely licking your lips at the prospect of batting on this. Opening in the afternoon sun after seeing that there are runs out there.
Yeah.
She's already got a 90 to her name this season.
Well, you just sort of pitch you just want to. People say, pick it up and carry it around with you. You'd need one heck of a vehicle to do that. It's not something that easily fits in a cricket coffin.
No.
Unless you could concertina it and then spread it out. But then if you do that, the danger is you're going to create cracks halfway down. It's not going to work. It's just a terrible idea.
And then actually, airlines, they charge you a hell of a whack for every extra kilo. My favourite is to turn around and tell them, but I haven't got those extra kilos, so take what I should on average weigh and add it to my bag, and there we go.
I'm glad you've said
balanced.
that. Yes, I feel like that sometimes. Entirely with you. It's a steady start from Durham. The key for them is they just want to set the platform. They want to get through the power play. They've got to make the most of the power play, of course, but they might be targeting 55, 60 or so, as long as they haven't lost more than a wicket, or at the most 2. Because to get to 349, somebody you fancy, obviously somebody doesn't have to get 3 figures, because Surrey didn't. have anyone get 3 figures. But shots like that are going to help. It's a fucking shot in actual fact from Bates, because there's not an enormous amount wrong with this ball.
No, not at all. She didn't really have much room to free her arms up at all, but just helped it on its way, using the pace, and send it back just behind deep square.
Yeah, I mean, there is nothing wrong with that, but that is, again, that is a shot you can only play if you think the ball is going to do nothing. It's just going to come on and do exactly, you know, it's going to be where you expect it to be. And I'm not saying it's not a slow and low pitch, but I think it's hard without being overly bouncy, and it's very, very true.
You know what I love watching with Susie Bates as well? She does the Joss Butler shoulder shuffle.
Oh, yeah.
And I really enjoy watching it. I don't know why it's a thing that people do it these days. Who else does it?
Because Joss often, it used to be a tell, didn't it? That
Yeah.
if he was going to do that, he was going to then play a shot of wild extravagance.
Yeah, Susie Bates is in on the shoulder shuffle as well. It's a really good delivery, just to fly through.
Now, I'm just marking your cards, dear watchers. I've just been told by our producer that for technical reasons, and you can gather we haven't had a score ticker down there at the bottom since the start of this innings. You'll never guess what they're going to do to rectify this problem.
Turn it off and on again.
You got it.
Ugh.
They're going to turn it off and they're going to turn it on again. So we won't have disappeared permanently with a bit of luck. That's pulled away for 4 more, and it's another ball that just sits up and asks to be hit. And it is. It's crunched away for 4. That is the end of the over. We are going to take a short break after we've seen this 4. Again, there's really not a great deal wrong with the ball, but the pitch is just so good that you can trust the bounce, you can trust the lot. So we're going to nip away. We should be back in about a minute